guys I'm recording, but as you guys know, I just finished 1.7. I just posted the last episode, and I got a lot of corrections on my views towards Isolde. Okay, a lot of people were correcting me on my views towards Isolde and how I was very unsympathetic, which I was. But I feel like explaining it through video like this is gonna be better than me explaining it through comments, which I tried my best. But it was a lot of factors that contributed to my decision towards how I felt about Isolde. One, I'm gonna start off of episode 1 because clearly it changed a lot from episode 1 to, I think, was that episode 5, episode 6? It changed a lot. So episode 1, I felt for Isolde. Okay, they said she went through a lot of trauma. As you guys could see, I was trying to hold her hand. It was really a lot. But even at that moment, up until the art show, I felt like I didn't really know Isolde. Like, I felt like Isolde was just like something happened, and like we got hints that the memory was suppressed, but that was later. So I was like, okay, her brother died and she's still really distraught because her brother died. With the information, it's understandable why you felt that way about Isolde. Yeah, I feel that way, but I also feel kind of bad. But yeah, at the beginning, I was like, oh, Isolde, she's traumatized. Like, obviously her brother died, and it was mostly in my head. I thought the therapy was a recent occurrence. Okay, she started getting therapy after her brother's death. That's what I thought. So in the first episode, I thought that was one, like, her last option. She tried therapy, tried everything else, and that was her last option. But all that started after her brother's death. Okay, so then we're at the art show. But yes, at first I was like, dang, she's like really going through it. So my title, take this girl home or whatever, is me saying she needs to rest. So I hope you guys don't think I didn't like her even in that moment. No, I was like, Isolde, you need to go home, honey. At the time, I did hate Henrik though. Henrik was foul and he had to go. So yeah, at that time, I did feel for Isolde even then. And up till therapy, I felt like I didn't really know Isolde. Like, I didn't know her backstory. We barely interacted with her. I was like, dang, I feel like I don't really know Isolde, which I do say. That's my deodorant, which I do say in the video. I'm like, I feel like I don't really know Isolde's character very well, so I couldn't really get a grasp on Isolde, okay? Here comes therapy. She goes to therapy with Kakanya, right? I knew then that they were longtime friends. I just didn't know like what kind of friends they were. And I didn't know their past, okay? I just thought they were friends, like, you know? So, you know, here comes therapy. Therapy, right? Isolde's really going through it. Even when she said, like, even when she admitted she killed her brother, I was still very much remorseful because I was like, dang, like, I get it. Like, you were scared, you know, you were scared and you just, like, he startled you and, you know, there was that and, like, there's nothing you could really do about it. Because even after that, Isolde was talking bad about herself and I was like, no, Isolde, it's okay. It's okay, Isolde. I'm talking about Isolde like she's a real person. But I was like, it's okay, Isolde. It's okay. We all make mistakes. I mean, not necessarily those mistakes, but, like, I was like, if he was on fire and she was scared, like, I get that. If that was the reason, I get that 100%, right? Then here comes the art exhibition, okay? First of all, she ditches Kakanya after, like, the parts that stuck out to me was her mentioning Kakanya, saying Kakanya is like the founder, CEO, but now that I'm looking at it at a different lens, I could take that as she really just wanted to give Kakanya the credit she felt like she deserved in a way. What I didn't get is why she didn't tell Kakanya that she was doing all this stuff to begin with and why she kept it a secret. I still kind of don't get that, to be honest. Like, I don't know if Manus told her not to tell Kakanya, but if they were planning to add Kakanya in later, like, I don't know why she wouldn't tell her. But at the time, I was like, first you didn't tell her, and then you announce her saying she's the owner after she specifically said she didn't want you to do that, and then she ran away with Henrik and just pretty much left Kakanya in like a room full of Foundation members when she's wanted. Henrik did tell her not to tell Kakanya. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense now. Okay, thank you. This is why I should have played on stream. I think it was mentioned that Henrik told her to wait until... So it's Henrik's fault. Got it. That musty, dusty, crusty man. It was all his fault. You guys are gonna help clear things up in my head before I do the character event. Okay, so she left her, which I guess now that I think about it, it could probably be Henrik's plan too. Henrik's plan to just be like, okay, we're just gonna work on this and we're just gonna bring Kakanya in later. You know, me and my own past traumas. me and my own past trust issue situations where you trust someone and they practically just ditch you and leave you in a terrible situation. Me did not take a liking to that, okay? That made me really upset. But even then, I was like, okay, cool. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe it was Henrik's idea. She's insane. She lost it. You feel bad for her because everything initially wasn't her fault. The trauma what made her that way, but but that doesn't mean she doesn't know exactly what she did. She knows exactly what she did. It's like a mix of that. It's like she went very extreme, which is why I feel like I need to see her backstory to think, dang. But I also know it's like the added on fact that she sees dead people and she hears dead people. Like, I'd probably go crazy just from that alone. Okay, so at that moment, I kind of took it really personal, but I didn't take it too personal, right? Up until she said she enjoyed, like, she killed her brother for like kind of funsies. Because like I said before, and even in my video, I said after the therapy session is when I felt like she was like, I felt like I understood her. You know what I mean? See, now I feel like I know her like I know the real her, you know? Like, I know her. That's when I felt like I understood her. So to hear that was kind of more or less like a lie, like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. You'll see in her story, but she knows very well what she's doing, even though it's because of mental illness. I just think Isolde she's far from like a perfect person. She's far from like a good character. But at that time, I was like, I thought I understood you in therapy, right? So that, her just like admitting that she actually did it on purpose mixed in with the whole ditching thing is kind of what made me like kind of go, okay, Isolde. Like, it kind of irritated me. That's when I started just getting frustrated. Like, at first it was scolding. I was like, girl, like shaking her shoulders, kind of like, girl, come on, wake up. But after that, I was kind of like, dang, okay, well, like in my head, I kind of was like, screw you. Especially because she kept saying it was Kekanya's dream, and that made Kekanya feel conflicted between what she really wanted and what Isolde was doing. So I felt like Kekanya then felt some kind of responsibility for what Isolde was doing, and I was like, no. Because I feel like Isolde's taking Kekanya's words and kind of twisting it in like a way that actually isn't good for anyone. And yeah, I understand that she really only cares about Kekanya, and like, plus her being able to see this people from the war and all that stuff. But it's also at the same time, I'm like, Kekanya is actually telling you not to do this multiple times, and that's when I got frustrated as well. I was like, this and that, like, I didn't know like I didn't know how to feel about Mr. Crowd dying. Like, I was kind of happy because I kind of did hope for that. But I was also mad at Isolde at the time. Like, me and Isolde have a love-hate relationship right now. I kind of, like, I was conflicted. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like if you listen attentively, you can hear the confliction between her wanting to shoot and kill Henrik and me being like, yes, and then no. And then I'm like, it was like, I was like conflicted. And that's because I felt like I didn't know Isolde. Like, at the time, I didn't feel like I knew her reasons. When it comes to little details, like the stuff about the war and all that stuff, that loses me. Like, I never hear it in anything. But yeah, she knows what she's doing with twisting Kanye's words and saying her killing people is pity. Honestly, by the end of everything related to Isolde, all I could think of was, yeah, I can't. Exactly. I feel like she's too far gone. So I hope that playing her story helps me really understand you can't fix her. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I'm excited to see. We're gonna get down to the bottom of the real Isolde, the Isolde's backstory. So that's why I kind of feel bad for being so harsh to her, because a lot of people were telling me I was really harsh, and I feel bad about it because I can sympathize with the trauma part, okay? I can sympathize with that. But choosing to just kill people and do all that stuff was kind of like, her story is traumatizing, yeah. To get Mr. Carl, yes. To get Henrik, absolutely. Them two were for the streets the second I saw both of them, okay? They both gave me the ick. But all the innocent people in Vienna who are now gonna get reversed by the storm, seemingly because she cares more about Kekanya than anyone else, and she also feels like she's kind of helping them and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff mixed together is like, wow, that's kind of scary. I'm like, dang. I'm like, Timekeeper really working overtime, bro, with all the arcanas that she gotta, she low-key gotta deal with. I'm like, Timekeeper. I could not be Timekeeper. Timekeeper better have a big, fat savings account where they're putting all the money when she turns into an adult. Like, that better be what's happening. Because the fact that she's even on the island and keeping track of the storms is kind of crazy. Like, Timekeeper gave a 24-hour warning. I'm like, ain't she on that island? Ain't she got that stress to deal with over there? Loki, she got it saved for all. Yeah, for all that she's done, all that she did, she's doing the world a service. Burton deserves better. Genuinely, overworked at 16 years old. Exactly. That's exactly it. Burton is not paid enough for everything she has to do. No, dealing with Arcanus is not fun. Time to see the real Isolde. The song is so pretty. Here we go. Guys, am I gonna cry? I don't know. I don't want to, but dog door. I'm gonna try my best to read everything. I don't know. My voice is kind of strained right now because I had a recording before this, but I'm gonna try my best, guys. Sad news indeed. Most unfortunate and disappointing news. You're gonna be traumatized, not cry. Dang. I'm scared now. Y'all are scaring me. Stamping his feet in anger, the gentleman lets out a wail of frustration.
I'm not sure that.
They canceled her show? Just like that? I've been waiting for it all season. What else could be done? Surely you wouldn't expect her to sing after what happened. Have some compassion for her, will you? Fate has dealt her a cruel hand in life. Although this lady immediately volleys criticism, there is nothing accusatory in the softness of her tone.
I think that
Vienna has lost its star, at least for this season. Another man joins the conversation, also terribly hit by the news. His eyes are as dim and cold as two lifeless cobblestones at the bottom of a river. He talks at the rear of the crowd with heavy footsteps. Oh, he walks. Oh, if you guys don't know, my reading is not perfect. I mean, you guys probably do know at this point. I saw it with my own eyes, the entire thing. She left the Vienna Stage Opera in the afternoon. She must have planned to take a walk in, what the frick, the park, as she always does on Thursday afternoons. Oh wait, I just realized how fitting this is since I'm going to Vienna in a few days. Whoa. Can I come? I'm kidding. One day. Try to see if you find an opera there. Try to see if you find an opera and watch out for the storm, okay? If it's raining, run. If it is raining, beeline for the airport. On that day, her dark, curly hair cascaded over her shoulders. Her face was pale as porcelain. She was in a lavender dress with a soft wool shawl around her arms. She looked pretty frail, like a doll made of glass.
Which means...
Did you see her? Yes, I saw her faint. She seemed perfectly fine when she took leave of the theater manager, but after a few steps, she started shaking. She whimpered and scratched at her pretty face. Her heavenly voice became a howling cry of a mad cat. He murmurs with a dark heat in his tone. A light of sinister delight flickers in her eyes. Report back if you see any report back if you see any of these guys. Her servants tried to stop her, but it was too late. She ran off, tripped over her dress, and fell down the stairs. They helped her up. By then, she already fainted. What the heck?
That's surprising.
God in heavens, poor thing. Real. His audience responds with gasps and sobs. Audience? He's just gossiping like this, telling everyone? Girls, it breaks one's heart to see such a thing. Soon, her physician came. He'd been by her side all day. It was only in the brief moment in which that horrid affair occurred that he was away attending to another matter. Did he take her to the hospital? How's she now? Oh, heavens. This is terribly sad. Most unfortunate for a talented lady such as her. She's so delicate. Even a strong gust of wind could whisk her off her feet. And now she has to come to terms with the painful fact that her dear child has been cruelly taken from her. The lady whips open her mother of pearl fan to hide the tears that are now streaming down her face. Thank goodness she still has Teofil. Still, it does a little to ease a mother's pain. Wait, Teofil's still alive. She continues to mutter to her. My nose is so itchy. I feel like it's dust. Sorry. I swear, I'm just itching it like this. She continues to mutter to herself. Though her cheeks are still wet with the tears of compassion, there is a quiet joy in her heart as she attacks the other's gaze. They're still talking about Isolde's mother. Oh! She's still alive? None of us would have the courage to face such tragedy. Having to witness her own child taken by death at the seance 3 days ago must have destroyed her. That's her sister, right? We were all there, you know. Lil Marley, Fiona, and I. That poor girl, such a lovely little thing. No, she's dead, but in the moment right now, she's alive. Wait. Okay, someone tell me who's dead and who's alive. Okay, this is the past. Yes, this is the past. But like in this past moment, who's dead and who's living? Teofil, I believe, is alive. Obviously, Isolde's alive. The seance they're talking about, the sister died, but the mom is still alive? Such a lovely little thing. In the past, the mother and Teofil. Okay, cool.
So?
Little Teresa. She was only 3 years old. Little sister is dead. This is before Isolde is born. Her parents and Teofil. Oh, this is before Isolde is born? Isolde's sister's dead. Her rosy cheeks turned grayish, blue within seconds. Her pale lips were stained red with blood, and 2 golden tears wailed in. Oh, so this is the mom they're talking about. Her empty eyes and ran down her cheeks. She died in a moment, just like that. But the sweet song didn't fade away. The whole night, it was trapped in her throat, like a little songbird captive in a cage. It's so weird that they're just gossiping about this. It wasn't until morning that we mustered enough strength to touch her. She was still soft, as if she were only sleeping. She gently flutters her fan as she reveals more and more details to the crowd. Like, why not just keep this to yourself? Like, clearly, like, she's going through something. Like, why just talk about it like it's some kind of spectacle? Spectacle, yeah. They listen in breathless suspense. Like, it's some story time. Like, it's some TikTok story time. Story time is famous, and the people love talking. The people just love hearing the good and the bad. It's kind of crazy how people just... I feel like people enjoy hearing bad things happen to people more than, like, good things. And I feel like that's just, like, reality of it all. Rich people not gossiping? Exactly. Frick. That's why that freaking Pearl fan... that she's hiding her freaking tears. I'm like, girl, how about you keep all this private information to yourself? So that the world doesn't have to know. But, of course, people are nosy and she probably gets a kick out of this. Was a famous opera singer? Yeah. But I'm like, human decency, just like a little rich people. Come on, guys. Like, some things are just better kept private. Like, this is very traumatizing.
I don't know.
I didn't know that. Fine, I admit it. I was too harsh on her. No one would be able to sing on stage in the wake of such misfortune. I mean, this is their TikTok. Real. This is probably gonna make you hate Carl more though. Oh gosh. I mean, I didn't think there was any love in my heart for him. I might yell at him at this point.
I think that...
She should rest. She must be devastated. Poor thing. Losing her child like that. My nose is so itchy. I feel like it's like dust. Like on my nose. Okay. The gentleman takes out his silk handkerchiefs and dabs the corner of his moistened eyes. This is a situation in which sympathy is only appropriate response. Well, true. To be honest. I kind of just don't feel it coming from him. Like, it's not giving. It's not giving sympathy. It's giving... Poor thing. Anyway, back to my $1 million matches. He's like, poor woman. Anyway, back to my $1 million mansion, riding my $1 million car, living my best life, that kind of thing. I mean, even IRL, people are absolutely obsessed with talking about famous people. Yes, people are obsessed with talking about famous people. And people are obsessed about hearing about bad things about famous people. Like, people don't even like hearing about good things like that. They're just like, ooh, tea. Like, tea. I'm like, no. But a voice from the other side of the crowd breaks the sad silence. No, she didn't cancel the performance to mourn her daughter. Okay. Do you forget? She showed up at rehearsal after her daughter's death. I just saw her yesterday. His face reddens with frustration at these speculations. Ew, he's so gross. You don't even deserve a face. Bro, you actually get reversed. Now that I think about it, get reversed. Her doctor came to me that very night with a dissection rabbit's what? In his palms. A quick look made it very clear. His eyes are red and bulging. To be this angry! This is a pre-internet conspiracy session. Exactly. This is pre-internet gossip. The news. They're like, what the freak? To be this angry, his eyes bulging out of his freaking head, bones, veins freaking popping out of his neck, about freaking a woman whose child just died, being like, well, actually, like, freaking get out of here, sir. She is with child again. 2 months into her pregnancy, in fact. The announcement of a new child just 3 days after her daughter's tragic death. You ever think that maybe she was pregnant before her child died? The announcement of a new child 3 days after... Wait, if she's 2 months into her pregnancy, do the math, right? Do the math, sir. She was pregnant before her daughter died, right? So what does this even add to the conversation, bro? Oh my gosh. The change in the rabbit's ovaries told us everything. I wish I could show you good people, for it is evidence, most irrefutable. Don't you love knowledge of women's bodies in 1914? Bro, this guy skipped math lessons. I'm like, you're acting like she's like, what does this even add to the conversation even? Like, she was pregnant before her daughter died, so what are we talking about? Evangeline must rest. No matter how much she loves the stage and her audience, she has no choice. Well, he's disgusting. I hope he got reversed, you know? I also hope he was in the theater and he was one of the people that were going crazy, you know? That was her appearance in Vienna. I would do a higher pitch voice, but my voice is shot. A frantic... Actually, maybe I could do it. A frantic admirer bribed her mother's doctor, subsequently discovering her existence through a fluffy and oddly bloody pregnancy test. Perhaps soon these rabbit test will become a mainstream method of determining pregnancy. Trista? Wait, who's Trista? Trista? Who knows what will happen in this world of turmoil? Someone approaches from behind, the figure of a child. Favored by the god of theater, this child is a star, even from before birth. In the many years that followed, before she made her debut, people talked of her as the girl who arrived upon the wings of death.
Is that so?
But is she really an opera singer? The voice pauses, awaiting an answer. Look at her, Isolde, my lovely little sister. She is the new star of Vienna, gaining both fame and fortune in the theater. As a singer, her name has surpassed that of our mother, who is now only remembered as the perpetrator of that appalling crime. But my sister has never performed in a play, not even once. Oh! Baby Isolde. Okay, first off, Isolde, lovely child, okay? But I see the thing with reverse 1999, where if they're younger, they have such big foreheads. Just low-key. I'm like, dang. Wait, not Isolde? That's the sister? I put her in my thumbnail! What? I actually feel kinda... She died very young. That makes me feel really bad. The sister, aww. Aww. I didn't think we'd actually get to see her sister. What? But she's important anyway. No, that makes me feel even sadder. That we actually, aww. She's there, but she also isn't. She's many people, including me, my voice in her throat, my smile on her face. Aww. Upon the stage, many spirits wander. There are men's voices, women's voices, even children's. You can find them all, different songs, different stories, but they aren't hers. Yes, yes. Rather innovative, isn't it? To channel spirits in an operatic performance. Emotion she has never felt gleam in her eyes and flow from her mouth. She holds the spirits as they gently fall upon her, just as she is held by the stage. Well, the sister's ghost is talking right now, but I'm pretty sure they use Isolde's image for the ghost, so they all look the same. The thumbnail fits, don't worry. Okay, thank you. I was like, is this not baby Isolde?
Yes, that's right.
She has an accent, but obviously I can't do it, guys. Can't do it. Yes, silly goose. My little sister was never an actress. She's but a stage upon a stage, a pretty glass vessel. A little hand softly touches your shoulder, and oh, he talks slower. Ah, what? I didn't even read that. Wait. Now look over there. A door. Why, there's a door. How strange. Am I right? Did I guess what you were thinking? The figure burst into delighted laughter. Well, we'll all know what a stage looks like. There are no walls, but there are doors. No, not the entrance door to a theater. I'm talking about the doors behind the wings, the hidden ones that lead backstage. The hand raps on the door. This is the first door. A narrow doggy door, sitting an inch above the floor, painted in a calm blue. Who uses it, I wonder? Could it be a border terrier? A border? Border. Is that a dog? At a oh my gosh. Big word for Elmo. Proportion. Okay. At a well-proportioned 6 kilograms? It would fit through the door perfectly. Dog. Okay. It would be rather pleasant to keep around. A little angel in the home. A loyal and oh, are they? It's kind of sad. Are they talking about Isolde? A little angel in the home, a loyal and energetic friend. His little paws softly tap across the marble floor.
No.
But no, the door isn't made for a little Scottish hill dweller. Their feet get muddy, their fur dirty, and they have the pitiful little faces of a beggar. No, they don't fit in. They don't fit in at all in this spotless home. Those who live here must be presentable and praiseworthy, with manners learned from the most esteemed of teachers. The terriers sprint past you as they chase one another. A flurry of wind rushes by your left calf. Something taller, heavier, and calmer emerge from the dark. A warm breath settles on the skin of your right calf. Ooh. Very good. Leonbeggar. Is that? No. They were the stalwart, oh my gosh, these words, bro. Friends of our honorable Sisi, the Empress of Austria. People who were once madly in love with them. Another dog breed, okay. It has a soft back and a brown coat, a posture reminiscent of a lion, an intelligent mind, and a kind heart. Most importantly, this is an expensive breed. It's quite an excellent reflection of its owner's wealth and refined taste. It weighs 115 pounds, a good boy with a sturdy build. It's 28 inches at withers, and a trustworthy protector of your wife and children. The voice disappears again, along with a warm breath. The majestic dog raises its 100-pound body and dissolves in the shadows.
What a pity.
But it's much too big to fit through this door. No, this can't be it. The girl lets out a regretful sigh, followed by a branching breath. Her face is barely visible in the dark, but somehow, you know she's smiling. You see, this is my door. I fit through it perfectly. It wasn't always exclusively mine. There were other people. People who were of the right size and met other conditions for its use. But time is cruel. It turned Teofeld and Isolde into adults, taking them out of their little 5-year-old bodies and replacing them with new ones, with bigger hands and feet. Now I alone can pass through this little door. Every Dudestoff child knows how to use this door. Just lower your head, bend down, and crawl through it.
Yes, that's
Since I'm the
right.
only one using it these days, I have a new name for it. The Door of Trista the Forgotten. The little hands lying on your shoulders give you a gentle push. The doggy door squeaks open. It's much easier to pass through than you had imagined. Whew, okay. Huh? My baby, dry your tears. The cradle's safe and warm. Oh, this is the mom? Oh. She looks tired. And Evangeline, am I saying her name right? Is here? Oh, not and. Evangeline is here. The source of the sweet humming. Our mama. We all once lived inside her. She always rocked this cradle with her left hand. It's the same one that Teofel, I, and our little sister, Isolde, all used. She's singing her a lullaby. But her performance is rather clumsy. It's a new song, a birth gift to Isolde from the playwright. He wrote one for each of us when we were born. She's asleep, thank goodness. She cries so much, always trembling as if something frightened her. The mother sighs as she sits by the bed. Mother and I was the same way when I was a baby. Oh, mother said, not mother. Mother said I was the same way when I was a baby. Perhaps it's a familiar trait passed down from girl to girl. She thinks to herself, running her fingers along the edge of the cradle. As soon as the word curse comes to mind, she feels the tip of her finger touch something, a dent in the wood left there by her second child. It's usually pronounced Evangelion. I say Evangelion. I'm so tempted to say that because of the anime. But your pronunciation isn't far off, to be honest. I'll try. These words are so big.
No,
So
that's
hard.
not true.
No, Tristan didn't cry like that. Trista didn't cry like that. She giggled a lot, even looking at the empty ceiling or the lampstand. She was never frightened. Nothing could scare her. She'd cradle at anything, as if they were jesters, and she's the queen. She still remembers me, even then. She's a good mama. Trista holds her mother from behind, nesting her head in the crook of her mother's neck. She was immature in the past. She wouldn't have taken me into the seance and made me the medium had she known any better. But she learned her lesson. Truly, after my death, she never sang my lullaby again. As I lowered into my little grave, a song buried itself in her throat. But was that enough? Trista reaches out an arm and gently strokes the cheek of the baby in the cradle. The cold chill of her hand wakes her. It was only a song. Whimpers. Oh, Isolde, you stupid little girl. Always crying. My, she's shaking again. Her face is so cold. So she could feel and see her sister. However, however you look at it, my failure laid the groundwork for Isolde's success.
What do you think?
Perhaps you don't think she's successful. But at least she didn't turn into a little lump of dead meat at the age of 3. For a Ditoshtal daughter, that's quite an achievement. I'm very fond of my little sister. I love her. I sang her the buried lullaby, my lullaby. I laid beside her on those crying nights, those trembling mornings. I crawled with her. I walked with her. Sometimes I think about how I could have grown up as she did. What a pity that I'm 6 feet under the earth while she walks upon it. She soon turned 3, but the seance didn't happen. As I have told you, my mother, my Evangeline, had learned her lesson. She knew better by then. No, Trista probably died at age 3. Rick, oh my gosh. I didn't really understand how her sister died, and hearing that it wasn't her choice is really sad. She continued to pull off my little sister's first seance for many years. She was 6 by the time she was led into the candlelight. Oh, to put off. I said pull off, sorry. So they still made Isolde do it, but they just made her do it when she was older. Why does she have to do it? Like, why? Is this not scary for a little kid? This is... Tell us, child. What do you see? The cradle light flickers in the dark room. The lady asking the question leans forward in eagerness, the light reflected in her eyes. Speak, good child. The spirit has come to us. It has come to you. I need an answer. I've waited for so long for this. I've heard all about your gifts. She has waited 3 years, much too long for someone whose insides twisted with anxiety over the future. Much too long. Okay, we're at the right. Isolde takes a deep breath, letting it out slowly. Is she alright? She's shaking. Evangeline never shook like this. She looks just like her sister did. What has she called forth? What's happening? Does my future hold so dreadful is that the same person or am I? Okay, there's 2 different ladies. I'm gonna give them the same voice. What's happening? Does my future hold so dreadful a spirit? I just wanted to know where I'd be in a few years. Good Lord, she's bleeding! Ah! Isolde trembles, her back stiff, her hands tightly pressed against her chest, move down into her stomach, and eventually stop at her lower abdomen. She whimpers in agony, her knees quiver until she can't stand no longer and collapses to the floor. The adults in her life just wronged her. The candlelight, it's flickering. She did it! Okay. Like, why do they have to do this again? Do any of y'all know? Like...
I see.
Her pale arm rides under her sleeve like a thin, white snake. It lifts its head, its red tongue flickering toward the lady. The mother does not care. So she loses her first child and she says, okay, we'll just do it again, but when she's older. Like, all the adults just failed her in her life. Which is so real.
I see you in a sea of green. Horses are neighing. Wind is blowing. The wind.
Red drips from her nose and down onto her chest, bleeding into the whirls of dark colors on her dress. The air is filled with a metallic smell of blood. Guessing rich people are too bored. Bro, rich people don't got nothing better to do than freaking entertain themselves by traumatizing other people. I mean, what's new? What is new? Back then, no matter how you look at it, they used to do the same exact thing.
The wind is blowing and blowing. Yes, it came from the window. That's right. It's wind. I see it now. It's the wind. It's the curtains. The curtains.
Isolde abruptly lifts her upper body and starts rhythmically slapping her bloody palms against the floor. Is this not... To me, this would be kind of freaky. I'm not gonna lie. What?
Oh.
Ah! Screw you.
Shoot.
No one cares about them. The windows are thrown open. An icy wind rushes into the room, immediately extinguishing the candles. Rich people are truly equivalent of animals in a zoo without enough enrichment. Exactly. What the frick? Wind? How? We locked the window.
Oh,
Something's wrong. She's getting out of control. Isolde, oh, it's terrifying, huh? Like, you kill one child, and then you just think, dang, let me just rerun that. Let me run it back. Everyone leaps onto their feet, scrambling to reach the door first. Amidst the chaos, the young girl stands up. They're all running away? Now she cares. Oh, she can't, like, when they're all, like, scared is when she's like, oh my gosh. Oh no. Something's not right. And now everyone's leaving. What the heck? Instead of trying to help, you know, snap Isolde out of it, they're all just like, me first. I have too many dollars in my bank account to die this young. Even though they're all like 50. Isolde, stay calm. Isolde. To her, the calls of her mother sound like echoes from a faraway place. Yeah, because she sucks. Yeah, the mother does not care about her poor daughter. Isolde simply drops her head and gently nibbles at her nails.
Close the window.
She mumbles, her bloody lips opening and closing gently. Then they open wide. She cackles with delight before screaming in a voice that is not entirely her own. Having your daughter be possessed by things.
Close the window. Close the window.
That was, oh gosh, that is really scary. I don't know how people enjoy this. I would not subject her to this. Is this not scary to just have your 6-year-old daughter be possessed by adults that are dead and you don't even know who they are? Like, it's like essentially letting a stranger take over your child's body. Essentially.
After that, my little sister passed out. Her first seance ended in disarray. People were scared. They didn't believe her to be a capable medium. You would have thought the same had you seen her blood-splattered gown.
Not gonna lie, I'd probably... Yeah, if I saw a little girl doing that, I would have... Yeah, no. I would have been out. Well, I wouldn't be out. I mean, I see why they're leaving, but they enjoy this stuff. So I'm like, no. People stay. Isn't this what you came here to see? A little girl freaking get possessed by a grown freaking man? You are so weird.
The successive failures of me and my sister completely shattered the curiosity over these seances.
Curiosity is crazy.
People started to believe that our ability to channel the spirits had become too strong to control, and that the practice was somewhat evil.
Oh, no way! No. That stuff would definitely just always work out in your favor. Guys, if you learn anything from any horror thing or any scary thing, yeah, of course it's evil. Since when was getting... That's what I'm saying. I'm like, since when was getting freaking possessed like this fun little... Well, it's definitely not holy. Like, I don't... like, I don't know what they thought. Like, it's definitely not good. They start to realize, man, maybe this isn't a good idea. I mean, I know we subject all these kids throughout generations to this terrible, terrible thing, but now that I'm starting to get scared, maybe we should, like, not do it anymore. You know, the death of a child wasn't enough. It was them starting to wet their diapers. That's when they decided to be like, oh, man, I guess we should stop now. Play around and you'll get stupid rewards. Yeah, F around and find out. The death, like, the craziest part is that the death of a child wasn't enough for them to be like, okay, that's enough. It was when they started to get scared. That's when they were like, okay, let's stop. It's when they didn't want to play with them anymore is when they wanted to stop, which is insane to me.
For some time, the people of Vienna lost all interest in the seances, and consequently, Mama was snubbed.
Huh. It is messed up.
But this didn't last long.
Especially to subject children to these things. You see their suffering just for your own entertainment as a grown adult. Like, when most kids end up traumatized, it's usually because the adults in their life all freaking failed them. The girl offers a gentle smile as she tucks her curly hair between her ears.
Annette Meyer, who spent the rest of her life afraid of the color green because of the prophecy brought forth by my sister, met her end. She died on the street. A frightened horse charged toward her. It was wearing a green saddle blanket on its back and shining green gem on its forehead. Green. More green. Miss Meyer was utterly terrified. She screamed, and as she dove on the side to dodge the approaching horse, she stumbled over a step and fell into a roadside bush. A sharp branch pierced through her chest.
That is so random. That is like some Final Destination crap that just happened to her. No, that is definitely Final Destination type of stuff. She draws a small circle on her chest, marking the location of the wound.
Huh. Eerie, isn't it? All of Vienna was wholly convinced the prophecy was true. Once again, they gathered around Mama and my little sister, like ants reporting to their queen. Oh, of course, little Isolde lived. She was depleted by the seance, never having had a strong constitution on having lost so much blood during the ceremony. But slowly her health was restored. Now, that was a risky night. The accidents are common in Arcanum. The slightest of changes can lead to completely different results. If my little sister were a little younger, or if she were pushed a little harder, she would have seen what I saw. Hundreds of soldiers lying dead on a battlefield, children orphaned before their very eyes, the endless explosions, and the golden rabbits.
What a pity.
I was so close to having a little sister who's just like me.
Dang. That was only the first part. My goodness. One guy once got a sharp branch jammed through his calf. So I guess you're really unlucky, LMAO. Great. It's freaking adults. The problem is old people. the problem is old people. That's the problem. I'm kidding. Not all old people are terrible, but these old people definitely were. Glad to have you here, old friend. Deutsche Stoff gets his... I feel like I have to say it with the accent, or else I'm not saying it right. And I still don't feel like I'm saying it right. Gets to his feet and extends a welcoming hand. This is the beginning of the amicable conversation. Did Teresa see a vision of World War I then? I think so. Which is like so scary to go out. Like that is such a scary way to go out. His friend strides up to him and shakes his hand. Truth to be told, I've considered many people for this job. Many. But none suits this position better than you. You're being modest, my friend. I had thought about getting her a governess. Governess.
Yes.
May well raise ordinary ladies, but my little girl's anything but. I'll settle for nothing but the very best for her. I'm trying not to sneeze. Ah! Trying not to sneeze so hard.
Isolde, my child.
She must be virtuous, pure of thought, elegant, and compliant. She must be clever, but guideless, talented yet modest, and dignified without pretension. Then she will be a true noble lady. I feel so awkward laughing.
Parents always have grand expressions for their children, don't they?
Expectations. Right. The child places a finger horizontally below her nose, mimicking the mustache as she speaks.
I'm a dedicated gentleman with impeccable manners. I never attend an event to which I'm not invited.
Oh.
I have a warm smile, a kind heart, and I never push others away. I have strong morals, respect social etiquette, and always present the best side of myself to others when it's necessary.
Yeah, it's implied by the story that the souls of the dead don't get rebirthed in the storm as long as they didn't die to the storm. Frick. So she's like forever just gonna deal with this.
Stoff regard me as a true noble gentleman. He believes I possess every quality of an honorable man should have.
Oh. Yeah, that's the voice of them all men. That's gonna be my man voice now. The man maintains an upright posture, clasping his hands behind his back. his shoulders perfectly squared. That's why, despite my eagerness to attend and the fact that I am a family friend, I never asked for, nor even hinted any wanting an invitation to that banquet. This is Carl. They're speaking. Okay, this is my voice for Carl, I believe. I know that asking is pointless. I must be patient. When the time comes, the gate will be open for me. Goofy odd voice for a goofy odd man. The Dortischdorf house is guarded by an enormous gate. It's beautiful and stately. Oh, I'm doing my voice.
It's beautiful and stately made of metal. Stately made of metal, and artistically decorated with the family's motifs. It's quite a feat, really, finding the balance between beauty and security. And my friend Dieterstoff has found that balance. His only lacking feature, of which he is fully aware, is the patience to educate a child. Gotta love the metalwork on that gate. He worries, you see, about a future in which his son is incompetent and chaotic, and his daughter is crude and reckless. So he's pinned his hopes on me.
The countenance of the middle-aged man faintly emerges on the daughter's face. She licks her teeth, an unconscious display of greed. Two figures in dresses emerge from the darkness and approach the gate. With a heavy rumble, it slides open. Oh. Okay, this has to be Carl, right? Oh my. We've been talking all this time, yet we haven't as much mentioned Isolde. She reaches out a hand and seizes your wrist. A gently rich, irresponsible force leads you forward. Wait, that was him, right? Right? I'm so confused. Were they not? Oh. This is Carl. I'm gonna give it her voice because I think this is her.
She should have been at the center of this conversation. So sweet and gentle.
Yeah, okay. Oh, Chandler Carthor. She should have been at the center of this conversation. So sweet and gentle. A truly thoughtful and beautiful girl. She doesn't look back.
Isolde,
I
my
treated
child.
her as my own. I taught her everything I knew, and she became that perfect young lady Dieterstoff desired. She is flawless. She met every expectation from her mother, her father, her brother, the servants, and of course, me. Is my voice dying? Just a tad bit.
Mind your posture, child.
I feel like my voice actually fits. The voice that I'm giving him. Goofy odd voice for a goofy odd man. Mind your... Oh, he said that.
Yes, I understand.
We're not gonna have her say his name. Little Isolde's body tenses. She straightens her back further. Very well. Now lift your chin a little. No, not too high. We must avoid any indication of overconfidence. So she has to lift her chest up, not too low, but also not too high.
Exactly.
That's right, just like that. Very well done, my child. He lays his hand on the back of the chair in front of him and nods to his student on the other side of the hallway. All right, now maintain that posture and walk with me.
Certainly. I will try harder.
This is rather premature for a girl only 12 to learn how to walk in 3-inch heels, but practicing now will avoid any future embarrassment.
Head up, shoulders square. All right. Now smooth strides. Don't sway and don't bounce up and down.
Breathe in, step forward, waist balanced, and again.
Don't lean forward, straighten your back, knees steady.
No mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. She stops before the chair, awaiting her teacher's feedback. 6 years have passed. She shot up since her first seance. Her days of reaching up for door handles are long gone. She stands here, a living example of perfection, all thanks to her education.
Isolde, my child.
Excellent, Isolde. Your walk is almost perfectly now. She's 12 now? Yep. She's 12, and this man is so obsessed with how a 12-year-old walks in heels. Is that not weird? Yes, you 12-year-old little girl. You walk very nicely in high-heeled shoes. Bro, could you walk in high-heeled shoes? I'm kidding, but still. The gentleman smiles and pulls out the chair. Have a seat. Have a seat. Let's move on to the next subject. Time is against us, young lady. We're spent an extra 15 minutes working on your posture. I've been told that you have a vocal lesson later. Don't worry. I shall see you again for our literature class after this competition. After its completion, sorry. Tonight, we'll be reading about a dinner. There will be mention of the dining etiquette we've practiced before, so this is a good chance for you to review it.
Danke.
Certainly, Mr. Carl.
She never gets to have fun. She never gets to have fun. The girl gracefully sits down. A maid hurries over her and helps her adjust the chair. A bowl of vegetable soup is sitting before her. You want to know what's even the craziest thing? Like, you would think because, like, she's rich and has, like, all this money, like, she would be enjoying her life, right? She has maid. She never has to clean. She never has to even do her own laundry. She probably doesn't even have to freaking make her own food. She doesn't have to take a bath. But, like, it's like she is much more, she is, like, I don't know if I'm explaining this right. But it's like now because she doesn't have to do all that stuff, now it's like set in, here's all this other stuff you now have to worry about. And here's all this other stuff you now have to do and you now have to learn. You might not have to learn how to do dishes, but you now have to learn how to sit up correctly and what freaking fork to use for your salad. It's like, dang. But like they're even harder on her to where this girl has no free time to even have fun. She doesn't have the luxuries of not having anything to do, which is kind of crazy because like the adults are just ruling her life. They're like trying to make sure she's freaking perfect. Freaking crazy. The girl gracefully sits down. The maid hurries over and helps her adjust her chair. Oh, did I already read this?
My apologies.
May I ask a question, sir? If I remember correctly, you told me that we had completed the rules of dining etiquette last week. Did I misunderstand?
You did not, my child. The gentleman picks up a silver spoon and places it on her open palm. One by one, he adjusts her fingers until they close around the spoon handle.
I disagree.
But last night, during dinner with your parents, I couldn't help but notice that your hands were shaking. The fact that he considers shaking, like, enough to say she didn't learn anything is insane. So he's like, oh, we're gonna learn some more because you have anxiety. Oh yeah, you're not perfect because you're anxious. So we're gonna do this again. The moments were subtle, almost imperceivable most of the time. You even hid them well while you cut the meat. When it came to the soup, however, the shaking was clear as daylight. You will certainly notice your wetted cups. Well, you ever think that maybe she's shaking because she's anxious and not because she hasn't learned all the 50 million etiquette rules of freaking cutting freaking roast beef, bro? You ever think that maybe she's like scared? You ever, maybe, just maybe, she's shaking, not because she doesn't know, but because she's freaking nervous. Why, instead of making her feel comfortable, you're just telling her not good enough, you're not perfect. Great. With a smile on his face, Carl loosens his grip. Little Isolde needs no further instruction. Bro. Freaking. Hey, Carl. Her countenance is composed, yet her hand is trembling. Her fingertips turn pale as she tightens the grip on her spoon.
Oh.
Of course, such a mistake wouldn't be considered rude, but it would reflect badly. And he calls it a mistake. What the freak, bro? Mistake, bro. Well, I don't think teaching her 50 million more times is gonna help. I'm being real with you, bro. Like, maybe you're just not a good teacher. She might have a mobility issue and not anxiety. Oh. Either way, like, he still sucks. I thought it was anxiety and she's just nervous, like, when it comes to, like, performance things. Like, she's nervous, like, to do certain stuff around her parents when she knows Mr. Carl is eyeballing her across the freaking room. Sorry, across the table. I mean, to be honest, if it were me, I would also be, like, really scared. To, like, feel like, oh, man, I have to freaking eat perfectly. I have to sit perfectly. Eat perfectly. And this guy's watching her every move. He's like, it's not noticeable. But I saw it. Like, that kind of thing would, like, make me freaking anxious. So, like, either way, he sucks. Either way, he's trash. So. I already read that. We've put in great effort and come so far. It would be a great shame to fall short on so small a detail.
Yes,
The fact that
I
he works
understand.
for the foundation is also trash.
Yes, Mr. Carl. I'll work hard on it.
She's shaking even now. Like, I don't... 100 times. The gentleman paces around the lounge, feeling utterly complacent about his work. I asked her to practice it 100 times. She's the daughter of Evangeline, the greatest opera singer to ever grace the stages of Vienna. She has her eyes, her nose, her cheeks. How could she possibly have such a shaky hand while using a spoon? Oh. Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah. Yeah, so you ever think it's not like a practice thing? Like, bro, come on, man.
I disagree.
What a disgrace. He shakes his head. His dark hair on the back of his head, shining with no one cares. I could tell she was getting tired towards the end of the session. She'd hidden it well thus far, just as she'd been introduced to do. She's only 12 after all, and she went straight from a 3-hour poise and posture class to repeatedly raising and lowering the spoon for an hour or more. Yeah, no. Like, why does a 12-year-old need wrist workouts like that, bro? You're gonna give her carpal tunnel or something? Like, it's hard to say, to be honest. She might have a history anemia due to her arcanum. If she bleeds a lot with every channel spirit, and lack of iron blood could cause shakiness. It could be a lot of things. Which is the craziest part, that this guy is just banking it to. Well, she hasn't learned hard enough. She's not perfect. Bro. She had a smile on her face. Her voice remained soft. Her eyes were gentle as the spring breeze. She's a darling little lamb.
Exactly.
All our efforts paid off. She stops by the window, his gaze fixed upon a garden lawn. Evangeline sits in the sunshine, a white rabbit in her arms. She's stroking it gently grooming its hair. Sorry. Her wrists were still tight and shaky the first 20 times we practiced. It wasn't until the 65th attempt that things started to improve. Dude's trying to give her exposure therapy to freaking lifting the spoon when that's probably not gonna help her. Like, I'm just like, if you fail, he's the failure, may I add, because he's failing to freaking think. If what you're doing isn't working, what makes you think, hey, maybe she just hasn't done it enough times, even though she's already done it 100 times? Like, what makes you think that her doing the same thing 99 more times is gonna fix it? And not even like it's a problem to begin with, which is why I stopped myself from saying that. But like, bro. Did I read this? Or perhaps she was too tired, perhaps her joints were numb, or perhaps she finally mastered the skill and calmed herself. I doubt Mr. Carl even has to do all this stuff. Y'all saw him being late? I doubt Mr. Carl's. He's not even punctual, man. Like, freak me. By the 100th practice, the soup in her spoon was as still as a mirror. I could see the reflection of my face within it. Carl's eyes flickered back to the table. The soup is now cold and thick. The chair is now pulled out, and Isolde is nowhere to be found.
Oh.
I still have no idea why she was trembling so much. Maybe there's an issue with the muscle in her hand, or maybe it's an unfortunate side effect of her inherited ability. Either way, I don't care. It's still not perfect. But I'm certain that she'll be rid of this unsightly habit within a week. She will become Evangeline, only better.
Interesting.
This, you see, is the benefit of a proper education. If only I could travel back in time and give poor Angeline those same opportunities. Evangeline, frig, I'm not even saying her name correctly anymore. Anyway, screw you, Mr. Carl.
So you mean...
You seem surprised. Why? I adore Evangeline. I'll forever be her loyal audience member and supportive friend. But that doesn't mean that I'm blind to her flaws. Toxic friend. Also giving a little bit of fanboy energy. Kind of creepy, not gonna lie. She's mad, unstable. She spends half of the day unconscious and the other half, God bless, in hysteria. Even in continuance. She's a pitiful woman, indeed worthy of little admiration. Mister, I can't even make it to the freaking train station on time, Carl's.
Exactly.
Yes, she's the center of the crowd. Yes, important figures attend her seances and listen to her. I can't read that. And yes, throngs of people cheer throw flowers at her on stage. Some even fainting from the excitement.
I disagree.
But none of this speaks to who she truly is, my dear friend. You sure about that? He shrugs. Sounds more like her Oshi. Like she's his Oshi to me. The cold soup morphs into a slice of chocolate cake as he sits down at the table. I'm thinking about food now. You must be familiar with... I'm not even attempting that. 2 pieces of chocolate cake with a layer... I want cake. Of apricot jam in the middle. It's the sweetest embodiment of perfection. Within a silver fork, in one hand, he flips the piece of cake on its side, revealing a moldy corner. Evangeline is just like this cake. Most of her inner sweets, her voice, and divination. Most of her is sweet, her voice, her divination, but there's a rot growing that will one day devour her.
Oh.
It's still a little early to throw the cake away. That would be a shame. At least most of it looks fine. You know what? If I was freaking Evangeline's husband, And I hear this man talking about her like that. Like, if only I was in her life, I could have made her perfect. I would have been like, who do you think you are? I hired you. Don't get it twisted. Like, I would have been like, okay, it's one thing to talk about Isolde, but to talk about my wife, which, again, is still bad. But I'm just like, the dude is not even standing up for his wife. What the frig? He cuts through the cake with his fork, precisely avoiding the moldy edge. That is nasty. If the cake is moldy, don't you think maybe just... Okay, in the sense of, like, food, not in people, obviously. But comparing people to freaking food is crazy. But I'm just like, I would not eat cake if I saw part of it was moldy. Which kind of shows that Mr. Carl's is foul in every sense. We still enjoy the good parts of the cake as long as we're careful about where the dessert fork lands. Just stuff. I can't say their name anymore. Did marry her after all. But it's a somewhat troublesome process. The people's appetite for will never wane, and as one cake sours, they will look for another. Poor Evangeline simply cannot satisfy their desires any longer. They need something fresh, delicious. Wait. Talking about a kid like that is foul. He savors the cake, a smile growing on his face.
Isolde, my
Isolde.
child.
Is that new confectionery? Yes. That is freaky. Freshly out of the oven and waiting to be served is foul. That is disgusting. Ugh. It is freshly out of the oven. The frick. Waiting to be served. The heck. Since apparently he thinks Isolde is a piece of freaking cake. You know, Mr. can't even arrive on time. He also kind of had feelings for Isolde. I mean, he did call her sweet and said she's fresh out of the oven, ready to be served. I mean, no normal person would talk like that, to be honest. I don't think anyone who didn't like a child would say that. So, I'm gonna stop with the voices. My throat's actually hurting. You know, it was nice. Isolde quietly closes the door and sits on the side of her bed. She falls back and stares at the ceiling. Her body aches. Her hands and feet feel like lead. Feel like lead. And her eyes are swollen from fatigue. Her headache worsens at night, so she rarely sleeps well. The cotton pads didn't help. The heels still rubbed my feet. At least he's dead. Small victories, real. The vocal lesson's over. And my literature class is canceled because Mr. Crow was invited to a banquet. Because he don't actually care. Looks like I can rest early today. Wonderful. She turns her head to the side, and her eyes meet another's. A young girl lies beside her, with features that resemble her own. Their foreheads press against each other. The girl's eyes are hollowed, only filled with golden tears. Her lips open and close as she mutters a question, one that has been asked many times before.
No, sister, I won't.
Isolde trembles from the cold, just as she did as a frightened baby in her cradle. The girl giggles, curling her arms around Isolde's neck and clutching at her like a vine wrapped around a tree. Her little body swells, becoming cold and heavy like a piece of iron. Here she goes again with her usual games. Whenever Isolde is tired and weary, she seeks her out to play like this. Please, sister, you're hurting me. Isolde's breathing becomes short and violent. She can feel her insides being squeezed. Tears flowing flood her eyes. her face swollen and wet as she silently weeps. Only in a moment like this does she let out her true emotions. The pressure makes her nauseous. She used to giggles. Her laughter lingered in the room. More and more spirits start to gather. They whisper to each other, laughing and teasing Isolde, curiously awaiting her next move. Isolde manages to grab the back of one of her sister's hands with her trembling fingers. Mama! I don't know how to say mama in my regular voice and not feel a little...
Mama.
Thank you, Isolde. Ask for me. I promise her. The girl, straddling her waist, gives a slow blink. She lets go of Isolde's hand and dissipates into the air. Thin air. This always works. They are both, or at least once were, their mother's closest supporters. Isolde climbs out of bed, wiping her tears. She went there to freaking rest. Oh my gosh. She went there for 2 seconds. 2 seconds to just rest. And her younger sister's haunting her, choking her out in bed. Isolde climbs out of bed, wiping the tears and specks of vomit from her cheeks. With a corner of her bedsheet, she mumbles, Mama. Mommy. Okay.
Mama.
Heavy story. Heavy. Her mother looks up from the 2 rabbits cradling in her arms, one white, the other yellow, and her pale face radiates a smile. And her mom can't even comfort her, because her mom's kind of lost it at this point, too. And we all know her father isn't going to. Isolde, he doesn't even stand up for his own wife, let alone freaking his kids. My sweet girl, come.
Listen, child.
See, I have and Bloom here. Oh, and the nightingale your father just brought. I was hoping to take the swan in here too, but it was swimming on the lake, so we couldn't get close to it. This mother is sometimes more of a child than her own daughter. She's cheerful and innocent, simply as a blank canvas. She's always a pleasure to spend time with. Isolde closes her eyes, erasing her sister's decayed face and vomit-stained cheek from her mind. It is so sad. Hi, Gloom. We're here getting trauma. We can meet in the garden, Mama. You don't have to bring them all inside. Do people in the US call their mothers Mama when they're young, or do you say Mom? I say Mommy. And like, I feel like people say Mom. I feel like it's just what you prefer. I feel like Mommy is like the thing though. You say Mommy, Daddy, because that's what they teach you here. They teach you to say Mommy, Daddy, and then when you grow up, you can change it to like Mom. But I don't feel comfortable saying Mom now. I still say Mommy, even though it's really immature. It's just, it's all I know. Yeah, you know, like they say Mommy, say Daddy. But maybe they say like say Mama, say Dada. But I don't know. It's either way. I feel like there's Mama and Dada, but I feel like I grew up saying Mommy and Daddy. Yep. But I feel like it just depends on like what your parents teach you and what you decide to like do in the as you grow up. What you hear, you know. I was also curious. Okay, I was curious if Mama it's Mama here, but I only ever heard Americans say Mom. Yeah. I just feel like saying Mom and Dad, like it sounds kind of cold. I don't know. But sometimes when I want to sound mature, I say Mom, Dad. But like most of the time, I just say Mommy. Nonsense. I'm happy to do this for you.
I think...
You always get dizzy under the sun. How can you attend your lessons if you're unwell? The lounge is much better. We can enjoy a bit of sunshine through the windows and listen to music. Her mother pats the cushion next to her. Isolde sits on it, taking the pale yellow rabbit into her arms. I say, Mama, Mom, Nan, Ma'am, Mother. Oh, and Mommy. You say, wait, there's one more. You know, when I hear mother, I think like British people. Mother. Mother. I need to ask my mother. But maybe that's just me. There's also another one. I don't remember what it's called. But mommy is preferred. Papa, father, dad. Papa is honestly mom. Yes, mom and mummy. That's it. It's mom and mummy. That is it. I met someone who grew up in Europe, and they said mum. I have to ask my mom, and I was like, mom? No, okay. Oh yeah, the British kids. Get it for me, daddy. Daddy. Oh, mumsy is fun to say sometimes. Mumsy it's a fun word. Mummy. I feel like only British people have to say mum and mummy. Like, there's no other place in the world other than Europe where they say mum and mummy. Like I don't think. We say dad and mom here. I say mommy and daddy. It sounds immature, but you know, that is the Jamma and Lammy Jamma and Lammy stage. I say mama, mutter, my dyslexia, bro. I'm bilingual, so I say, oh, that's another language. Oh, my you know Papa the rapper. Papa the rapper. Yes, I do. I used to be a rhythm gamer back in the day. Jammer Lammy? Jammer?
Huh?
Hello, little... how are you feeling? You're so fluffy and soft, like the cook... Okay, I have to lock in, guys, so we can get through this. But, continue. The cooked apple in the real strudel? What? She holds the rabbit, stroking its fur and looking into its eyes.
Lovely little ones.
She has the softest fur and such adorable coloring. Do you remember when your father first brought them home? You were 11, a bit shorter than you are now. It wasn't long after you started your vocal lesson.
Yes, I
Of
understand.
course, Mama and Bloom are the only rabbits who joined the family. We've had plenty of birds and ponies before, as well as white rabbits for use in the seances, but none of them ever had a name. It wasn't until the doctor recommended a new method of therapy that Father brought these two home, and we named them.
Of course.
Yes, it was fun. With these adorable little things around, I don't faint as often as I used to. You were so small back then. I can scarcely believe that little girl is the same person as the 15-year-old young lady sitting before me, and for her to be so beautiful, a singer too. The sun shines through the window, enveloping Evangeline with a peaceful smile on her face. She continues to stroke the rabbit in her arms.
Mama.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the jammer. Am I the only one who doesn't know what the jammer is and the lemmy? Hilarious enough, I was born and raised in Florida with American born and raised parents. Though my mom's mother is a German immigrant, so oh. Well, thanks, Phantom. Thanks for that. Honestly, I also come from immigrant parents who were not born here. Both of them, though. So I'm like first generation American. Well, in my father and mother's line. American child. The one, when he said nursery and started rocking baby rabbit as a guitar. Chiku, tell me, do I know what this is? Do you not wish to go back on stage? Singing used to be so important to you. Not the nursery, okay. Say, my parents are Siberian immigrants, but I was born and raised in Austria. Wait, that's actually so interesting. Austria! I wish I knew geography. I was gonna say geometry. Geography better so I could picture where that is. No. She maintains a smile on her face.
That's not true.
You're mistaken, my child. I never really loved I have that American geography skills, you know. My mom is from Africa. My dad is African American. I'm double black, same. But my parents are both African. What the heck, Chicky? What the freak? What the freak, boy? But yeah, double black, same here. But both African. You're mistaken, my child. I never really loved performing. It was just an ordinary part of my life. Besides, they were making me emotional, which worsened my condition. I shouldn't be performing anymore. It's no good for me. But I'll be fine. As the doctor said, caring for animals brings me peace. Keeping a calm atmosphere is the foremost goal of this treatment. Isolde, my child, we must carry on. Beneath her mother's hopeful gaze, Isolde lowers her head and meekly snuggles up to her. Bring me the milk. I want some toys. That's the song? Ooh. At least her mother can comfort her, is what I...
Certainly.
It's nice.
I would try harder.
Her mother should take Isolde and run.
Of course.
Things will be different for you, Isolde. You're luckier than I. You... Actually, never mind. Her mother's kind of like, I feel like she's like down with it. Even though she's crazy. She would never take Isolde and run. You received treatment much earlier in life, and times are better now. There's more than one way to improve your situation. Ugh, I'm trying not to sneeze. You'll be cured, and you have the talent to sing. Her mother's voice seems to come from above her head. Okay, I'm okay. I'm still recovering from allergies. I'm going through it right now. Her mother's voice seems to come from above her head. For no clear reason, Isolde feels as though she is speaking from somewhere even higher. Imagine if Cheko sneezed on stream. You already heard me stream.
Keep in mind.
You will become the star of Vienna. You must keep on. Yes, Mama. I'll continue with the treatment. I'll keep on singing.
Huh?
I started to nibble on the young master's glove. Are you hungry? Guys, I really can't say that. It's so big. There's so many letters. How could she be? The maids have already fed them today. No, you're confused again, Mama. In March, the doctor suggested that you start feeding them. He said it would help you to bond with them. Is that so? Oh yes, I remember. Isolde puts down the rabbit and cups her mother's face. She gently pushes her hair aside and softly presses her forehead against her mother. Don't worry, Mama. We all forget things sometimes. Leave it to me. I'll get them something to eat. Aww. She gets to her feet and makes her way to the other room. Before she leaves, she stops by the doctor and looks back. Mama, have the rabbits recovered? I noticed they were a little out of spirits earlier.
My apologies.
If they if they're still unwell, I'll go get some medicine too. Well, what do we feed the rabbits in this era? Plants. Plants and probably some weird arcanist snack. Also, Chikuseren, you did not bless me. I just sneezed. How dare you? As my mod, it is your job to bless me. What did I just read? Where are they really? Wait, what? They're still unwell. I'll go get some medicine too. Were they really? Evangeline raises the rabbits in her hands so that their faces are level with hers. Their noses are wet. Their eyes are clear. They look as healthy as any rabbit she has seen. A few nameless white rabbits are chasing each other around their feet, each looking as energetic as ever.
That's right.
Bless you, Queen. Thank you. They seem fine to me. Vegetables. Yeah. I'm guessing vegetables and like grass. Alright, ma'am. I'll be back shortly. Mama. Not ma'am. My brain is switching the A and the positions and reading ma'am instead of mama. Out of the lounge and through the hall, past the many doors, down the stairs, and finally to a small room with 2 maids working inside. The Duterstoff house is well known for its staggering
Look at this.
size. Sheets and more sheets. I ain't gone a single day without washing these bloody things.
Listen.
When I worked for the Myers, we only had 1 or 2 washing days a week. They have to wash vomit and blood. I would freaking... They better all be wearing hazmat suits. But you're paid better here, ain't ya? Quit your complaining and come help, eh? Why does the maid sound like Melania? Huh?
What's wrong?
I kind of hear it. My god, there's blood on the sheets again. How on earth is there so much of it? Even for that time of the month. This is a lot. There's no way this is blood from her time of the month. The red-haired maid crinkles up her nose in disgust. And she got the Sophia portrait. Really? There's been blood on the sheets once a week for the last 3 weeks now. I'd say it comes from those dead rabbits and birds.
I see.
Lucas threw away another load of dead animals yesterday. I saw birds, ponies, and mostly rabbits. The yellow and white ones.
Which means...
I've lost count of the number of we've had. They got 2 new ones just today. They're being replaced like a freaking goldfish. Is she killing them? Poor things. What happened to them? They didn't die nearly as so often last year. Is there something wrong with the fodder? No. It weren't because of the bloody fodder. It weren't any natural causes of death. As the maid soaks the sheets in the water, she lowers her voice.
I heard that.
Lucas told me that every one of the animals suffered a miserable death. Some vomited blood, others had their heads cracked open. Most strange of all is that a few of them had a hole in their neck with a golden key jammed inside.
It might be...
He said, lady, oh, Evangeline did it. Oh my gosh. Oh, come of it. Lady Evangeline loved those animals. She was always carrying those rabbits around in her arms. Well, you don't see her crush... You don't see her crush that poor Nightingale. Oh, you didn't see her crush that poor Nightingale with her own bare hands when she was having an episode. She's ill, so is Lady Isolde. It runs in the family. Like a curse. Y'all are making them ill. I just want you to know that. The doctor said it was hysteria. Something to do with their wandering wombs. Drives them mad and makes them bleed and all.
Look at this.
Which explains these bloodstains. Do you think Lady Isolde will one day lose her mind like her mother? Why do you care? She's become awfully kind to me. She helped me settle in. The maid with short, dark hair looks down at the dirty bed sheets in her hands. It is covered in vomit and sweat. Yep. She's already going through it.
Here is the case.
She's still young, but she's already such a perfect little lady. Gentle, polite, beautiful, kind. She's got so many lessons to attend. Bless her. Etiquette, lecture, history, painting, music, dance. And on top of all that, she has to go to the seances with her mother twice a month. Poor little girl. Very, very sad little girl. She slowly folds up the bed sheets, as if to save Isolde the embarrassment. She don't faint often. She ain't having any manic episodes like her mother does now. But she does vomit and feel dizzy at times. That's because of her sister choking her out and her frigging fatigue. Oh, I do hope she doesn't end up like her mother. Yes, yes. Enough of the worrying. It's none of our concern. You done with the sheets? Come on then. Hi, Cheko. Are we playing Isolde's Story? Isolde's Story or Asian Kid Simulator? Frick. I can't say about the Asian Kid Simulator because I don't know what Asian kids grow up as through. But if but maybe both. Possibly both. With the laundry baskets stowed under their arm. Oh, the maids just walk away like they don't see nothing. This is a terrible, terrible life. Oh my gosh. Yes, now I remember. I left this in the drawer. Ah, there it is. She fumbles in the dark until her fingers come across a familiar shape. She looks at her palm, then into the dimly lit corridor. The maids are long gone, but their conversation still lingers in her ears. Father once told me. She shuts her eyes in calm determination. Be grateful. Be graceful, be self-restrained, be kind to others. Be compassionate, especially towards the less privileged. We must be an example for our people.
Oh, yes.
We must be virtuous and dignified, as benefits our status. Where is this guy? Where is this dude? Tifa, I didn't know you were home today. She opens her eyes. Her brother, 2 years her senior, is standing next to her. I won't be staying long. Mother told me you were here, so I came.
Isolde.
It's been a while. I brought you this. He pulls a little velvet box and pocket watch from his jacket pocket. The box is from that crusty, dusty, probably fake blonde, mannish, freaking skinny, freaking useless, freaking terrible, freaking bad guy whose name shall not be spoken. There's a brooch inside. For your 15th birthday. And this watch? That's for me. But you already gave me a present on my birthday, Tifa. No, it's not for your birthday. I just wanted you to have it. Look, it's not just a watch. It has a timer. And here. He presses a little knob on the pocket watch, and with a quiet click, it flips open. See? It's white crystals. It works like an amulet to help you stay calm. And there, see the slot? It can hold enough smelling salts for 20 uses. You need a watch to keep track of the time and all those lessons, and the amulet and smelling salts to help you too. It's perfect. He presses the watch into his sister's hand. There is a beat of silence. He speaks again. I also have news for you. I'm renting a studio. It's amazing how much it's helped me gain inspiration. It also has space for young models to stay the night when the weather becomes dreadful. It simply broke my heart to see them walking all the way back home in the rain. Tifa actually seems kind of nice. So all this, well, So all is well with me, but I won't be returning home very frequently. I hope you'll continue your treatment along with Mother. Remember, I'm thinking of you all the time. You're my beloved little sister after all. You want to know what the crazy thing is? If I promise you, if he stayed home more, I feel like he would feel for his sister way more. But he's never home. He seems like a good guy. But then again, he did join Manus, so I don't know how good of a guy he can be. But I feel like things would have been different if Tiafoe just stayed home with his sister. Dang. Did Father agree to this?
Oh, yes.
Of course. You can ask him if you like. He even helped pick the studio. Is this showing like a thing where he's willing to do anything for his son, of course, but his daughter has to be what he wants her to be? He turns around and waves to their father, a bright, beautiful smile on his face. For a moment, he looks like the herald of spring. Let me guess, he never smiles at her? Always looks serious? I see, then I'm relieved. I wish only the best for you, Tiafoe. The spring's favored son. Ah, yep. Son leaves bristly as the wind. He crosses the lounge, passes through the doors, and goes out into the boundless world. The Todesstoff stands next to his daughter, a hand on her shoulder. He shakes his head. Wait, so maybe it is like hereditary, the hysteria, because the son seems like he's living his best life, and he even still kind of lost it. I have a blundering artist for a son, a wild spirit. Look at him. Who would think that he's almost 17? Oh, never mind. Well, I don't think he actually joined Manus. Oh. Well, he met up with Arcana. Maybe he didn't make it in time to join. You're nothing like him. For which I'm very grateful. You spend your days perfecting... Oh! But he doesn't even like his son. You spend your days perfecting yourself while he wastes time chasing after those models in his... What I'm trying to say is that you're a comfort to me, child.
Danke.
Thank you, Father. How generous of you to say such nice things to me. She smiles with an adorable shyness and looks down at the floor, as most young daughters would after making their father proud. Aww. She should not feel proud for anything this man wants, because he sucks. You should be proud on your own. But her eyes flicker towards the door. With Tiafoe gone, it shuts again. Only a thin beam of light shines through the gap. Tiafoe didn't inherit Mother's musical talent. He doesn't even sing. Mother passed the talents down to me instead of her firstborn son. I suppose it's unfair to him. He's on that doctor disrespect timing. Under her father's silent gaze, Isolde turns and makes her way to the other. Oh, okay. I think Arcana just tried preying on Judishtoff's precious. A precarious mental. That was only. Bro, we got, I think, how many more? Ah, 8. Okay, let us get through this. Oh. Oh.
Hmm?
Oh, Isolde. Hello. Hello, excuse me? What is this place? He's older now. A timid face appears in the dark, bewildered and uneasy. Its owner wipes her hands on her dress, where there once was an apron. Hannah. Me, my name is Hannah. I'm a waitress at the Central Cafe. Have we met? Hannah? Hannah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Sorry. I was just at the cafe, working my shift. The manager told me to walk slower so that I wouldn't kick the customer's chair legs again. And then everything went dark and I found myself in this very room. This is strange. Stranger than a novel. I was hoping you could help me. Help. I'm hoping you could tell me what happened. Explain things to me. She paces around, looking anxious.
Hmm?
What is this? One of her shoes hits something firm. She crouches down curiously. Oh. She's dead. Oh. 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 Oh, it's a painting. No, a door? How strange that it's on the floor. Actually, it looks like a door to a Cafe Central. Something written on it. It's too dark in here. I can't see. Maybe I can feel it with my fingers. She stops and furrows her brow. She runs her fingers across the door plate a few more times. The name carved on it kissed the tips of her fingers. A sweet bitterness fills her heart. Tearfield. Mr. Tearfield? Did he play a part in the kidnapping? But why would an artist be involved in such horrible act? She mumbles to herself, her eyes rolling in the dark. She is looking for an excuse to forgive. Or perhaps he wants me to be his model. I'd gladly see to it. Of course. He's so handsome and kind. My goodness, he could paint. Any girl would agree to be his model. He would need to abduct me for that. A fragment of a memory comes back to her, but it's vague, shrouded in a white haze. Oh, I think I remember. Before everything went dark, Mr. Tearfield had ordered another Frenziker. I had it on my tray, and then I passed out before I reached his table. I always speak just a little too soon. Till then, it was a perfectly ordinary day. The warm color of love fades from her face. Mr. Tearfield looked as handsome as ever. He ordered his usual. Even Mr. Henrik was wearing the same brown... I did not finish reading that. Blazer. No, it's not right. Something was different that day. Yes, that's the day she first met her. That was the beginning of everything. She looks at you, trance-like. The door opens beneath her palm.
Oh, yes.
Ah, insightful idea, miss. I've never heard of such a perspective on how to treat mental illness. I'm very impressed. The cream has long since melted into the Frenziker. This conversation is much more interesting than the beverages on the table. Never thought I'd see you again. See, I told you, Tiffled. I knew you two would get along. How could you not adore such a lovable and talkative lady? The amazing Clara. We met at an auction. She has a superb taste. A bad welcome. She has a superb taste in the arts. Henrik boast of excessiveness, enthusiasm, our lovable weakness of his rather than annoy? It endears his friends to him. What? I feel like I read that all wrong. He sweeps up his friend's cup and takes a huge gulp. Oh, by the way, Teofold, where's your sister? You said she'd be here today. I thought she'd agreed to come down to the cafe. Yes. She should have arrived by now. Perhaps she's been delayed on her way over. After the huge success of her debut, my little sister is the new star of Vienna. She's positively sworn by admirers on the street. It is all very sweet, but as you can imagine, it can become quite troublesome. Sir, here's your coffee. The waitress lightly places it on the table. Walden art reused, my beloved. Walden? One Vienna iced coffee and Maria Teresa. Enjoy. Here, her gaze lingers on Teofold, an eager smile on her face. Her light brown hair is carefully tied in a curled ponytail. Thank you, Hannah. Your smile always brightens up a long afternoon. Sorry. Haha, you flatter me again, sir. She blushes and hurriedly looks inside. This is not the first time her dear Teofold has been so sweet to her. Would you like a cake on the side? It's on the house. Ooh, not him getting perks. Never played Isolde's story because I'm kind of lazy, but I will play it. It's definitely something. It is definitely something, for sure. We all feel for Isolde. Isolde. Will you... Oh, it's on the house? I want cake, bro. I have such a sweet tooth. And I just want cake right now. I don't have any cake, though, and it hurts. Makes me so sad. A nice slice of chocolate cake would be nice. Or cookie cake. I would like some cookie cake. Cookie cake, chocolate cake. I feel like those two are like what I'm craving right now. I want chocolate. Just period. Man, ever since he talked about that chocolate cake, I kind of wanted some. I remember you said you liked the particular lemon aroma of it. My mother grew those lemons. She brought me some more when she last visited. Would you... Yeah, I'm fond of the reused assets. It's fun. Reused backgrounds? Yeah. Yeah, I do mention it sometimes. I think when we were in Melania's room, looked like Desert Flannel's room. Espatha Dia's room looked like Eric's room. Red velvet. Oh, I just want cake. Chikuseren, do you want cake? Because we can both have cake. I want cake. I want cake so bad. I remember you, yeah. No! Frick. I thought if she wanted cake, she'll get me cake. And then we could both have cake. Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind it. It's just kind of funny. You're on a diet? No, I'm not. A sugar diet? A temporary one. Like, I could break it. Every now and then. Eric, the blonde kid. I lost my 50-50 to on Lee's banner. On Lee on Six's banner. Now you are. Man. Craving cake. Over here. Oh, Isolde, my dear girl. When was it we last met? It feels like eons. It was about 1.5 months ago. How unforgivably long. Do you remember when you were younger? We saw each other every week. Theo. Her voice is lost amongst the clatter. She quietly looks at her sweet Teofold as he gets on his feet and walks up to his sister. Maybe I'm just hungry. He has completely forgotten about the lemons, or rather, he never cared about them in the first place. Oh, why do you think Isolde is still that little... Oh, do you think Isolde is still... Why? Do you think Isolde is still that little girl who followed you around? I hear cake. Is Marina Antoinette making a cameo? Nah. I eat cake because it's delicious, not because I'm poor, but I am, kind of. But I do want cake. Let them eat cake. I'm afraid you're terribly mistaken, my friend. She's the biggest star of Vienna and the best and most stunning Salome of all time. Her admirers fill the streets, and her work has shaken the art world to its very core. Okay, dude, really gassing her up. Putting both his hands on her shoulders, he basks in the pride for his sister. On her shoulders or his shoulders? On her shoulders. And all that ripe old age, and at the ripe old age of 16, nonetheless. She's not some unknown actress taking minor role after minor role, nor is she one of those poets who end their miserable lives by plunging themselves into a river. No, it won't be long before she becomes the sovereign of the theater. My point is, Mr. Henrik, that it's difficult to see her these days, but if you can make her brother's life a little sweeter. Oh, Twofold, you crafty fellow. Henrik gently punches his arm. Twofold giggles as he pulls himself away from his fist. What the frig is happening? Chip, Twofold, and sorry, and Henrik. The cafe is filled with youthful laughter. Kidding, they might just be friends. I don't know. They are best friends, though. Twofold is not yet 20. He looks young, sweet, and happy, as free as the wind. Hana moves her lips, nervously rubbing her hands on her apron as she tries to come up with more words to get his attention. Bromance? Yeah, it is a bromance. She notices that Isolde is looking at her and lightly shaking her head.
Yeah.
Thank you, but I don't feel like having a drink. Okay. She does not feel thirsty. It was her. Her! How could I forget? How could I forget her? Oh, what a terrible, terrible feature. Did I hit my head? Or was it my neck? Or my legs? My waist? No, 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 no. You heard of Isolde's garment? Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. 2.1. It's kind of slay. She's gonna be singing jazz. Small beads of sweat glistening on the tip of her nose, her cheeks on her neck, her cheeks. She checks on her neck, her back, and her limbs, making sure they're all still attached to her body. Eventually, her hand stops at her neck. I was here. It was here, yes. Clutching her neck with both hands. Oh my gosh, she crouches down on the floor. So much pain. There was. Why? Why did it have to be me? Not Teresa or George. Not all who were trampled that day died. Nor those who fell to the floor and those who were pushed in front of the guns. They had quick and painless death at least. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Twofold was gay or bi. Low key. Bro, you see the way he was giggling? They put giggle. They didn't say laugh, they said giggle. I think there was something there. And it was more than a friendship. Why me? Why only me? Why was I the only one who fell down the stairs? Why was I the only one who screamed at Aggie? Why was I the only one who suffered a broken neck? It shouldn't have happened. None of this should have happened. The road shouldn't have been covered in sharp gravel. Those creatures in black, with their dark slime dripping all over, they started that demonstration? It was those creatures. Monsters. Critters? Hannah dropped her head. Tears streamed down from her neck, dripping on her palms and pooling on the floor beneath her feet. The door is now tightly shut. The door to the cafe with Twofold's name on it. The only other side, Cupid and Psyche convene? It was the circle. It was the speech.
It's them.
It was they who were responsible. The puddle of tears beneath the feet confront her with her own reflections. Her reflected face morphs into someone else. Isolde.
The famous opera singer with a touch of sorrow and the daughter of that mirror peddler. They killed me.
This is definitely not freaking creepy at all. Oh my gosh.
Greetings.
Oh! Clara! Hey. Hello, I'm Clara. Perhaps you've heard of the Vigil Mirror. That's an invention of my family. From the other side of the table, the lady in green, dressed in the dress, extends a white gloved hand. She is leaning forward so far that she is no longer sitting in her chair. This may appear to be eager, but the smile on her face is sincere.
Isolde.
Henrik told me a lot about you and your brother. I'm most glad that we finally had the chance to meet.
The honor is mine.
I'm Isolde. Isolde takes her hand.
Nice to meet you.
This is a privilege. It's a privilege to make your acquaintance. Oh.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes. She is Shalom. Salome? She's mine. Also, my voice is
My
recovered.
Salome.
My... Oh.
muse.
So last time, I think... Was it like... I don't remember what we found out, but I know it wasn't good. Oh. Okay. Oh. Oh.
That's awesome.
Brava! Applause. Brava! Fantastica! Truly fantastic! Did I say fantastica? Fantastic! Another applause. Cliche. Boring. They're merely spectators, distant observers. Their understanding of her is shallow. Of course it is. The concept of a scene performance has captivated the minds of the people. The hall is filled to the rafters with a crowd eager to see the horrific dread descend on this beautiful singer with their own eyes.
Look at this.
This can't possibly be a real performance. Some lower their voices, whispering in the silences between the cheers and the applause. One cannot deny that she has become the character, but surely this is some sort of fraud. The voice is not her voice, and the dance is not her dance. Not even her expressions are her own. She's not performing. She's just using that freakish power of hers. That is witchcraft. Insanity, I tell you. Then why are y'all freaking here? Praise, slander, their so-called fair judgments, all are like a raging fire, a freezing gust. They gaze at her face and the movement of her body and listen to her sing. But never do they think about, nor try to understand, who she is after the curtains fall. They only see her performance, the spirit channeling through her. No one has ever seen her true self. La 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 la, la 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 la. No one but me. Yes, only me. Look at her, and I see her, not those spirits, but herself. Oh, I look at her, I see her. I understand her. I am loyal to her, and now and forever, she is my love and my muse. Is it still Trisha? I do have some thoughts, by the way. I think I'll wait till after this chapter ends. Oh, be careful, Mr. Carl. The rain has just stopped. Isolde walks out of the cafe with her friend.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. I'm used to cleaning the stains off my skirts and shoes. Although it is good to be careful. I don't want to have to wash them every time it rains. It would consume far too much study time. The girl in green winks at Isolde, her eyes sparkling behind her round glasses. She hoists up her skirt, takes half step back, and deftly, leaps over the puddle in front of her. Wait, did I say Mr. Carl? Miss Clara. Bro, all these K names. You know, I never thought of simply jumping over the puddles. It's a little too eye-catching.
No, I think...
Well, maybe so. They link arms as they walk together. The distance between them is close to zero. It's kind of cute. They are two new best friends. Especially when we're strolling arm in arm like this. A synchronized leap would look rather odd.
Yes.
But it makes a lot of sense when you're running. Of course, if you're running down the street, a jump will make you no more eye-catching than you already are. If you're in a hurry, you'll be leaving the sight of others before you even notice they're staring at you. Like when you ran out of Miss Holmberg's window? Yes, Just like, what? She covers her mouth with one hand, her eyes widen with surprise.
Isolde.
How do you know that? I thought no one living on that street knew of me. Haha. You should pay better attention to your surroundings. Isolde chuckles and looks to the other side of the street. Anyway, you're right that you'd quickly leave people behind, but they'd still have their eyes fixed on you until you were out of their sight. And it wouldn't end there. Their curiosity would only continue to grow. Who is she? Where is she going? Before you know it, the seeds of mystery have blossomed in every corner of Vienna. She looks back at Kanya and reaches out a hand to tuck a stray hair away from her face.
Yeah.
Not to mention that there's no other witch who would ever jump over a window of a noble lady's room but you. What? That was a lovely day. The sun shone brightly once the rain stopped. And that was the day she first recognized my existence. The woman in gray closes the window in her hand, closes the notebook in her hand, and steps out of the shadows. I'm a playwright. Please address me as such. Please, you must call me by this title. I implore you. The playwright stands in front of you. Now that she is closer, you can feel a nip in the air. A layer of gray fog envelops her, coloring the hem of her skirt gray too. Water is dripping from her clothes, forming a puddle on the ground.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. My clothes are soaked. I'm soaked. It's a long story. An unimportant one, or rather, at least the least important. No, we must start with the most essential part of the tale. Here, hold my hand. She reaches out her hands to you. They are icy cold to the touch. Allow me to introduce you to my father first. No, this isn't the beginning of the story. Just an appropriate character to introduce it with. Schmeider Topaz Schmiller was a man with black hair and gray eyes. His father... I feel like I need... Okay. His father was a clothes merchant and his grandfather owned a small farm. Having grown up in a financially sound environment, he didn't have to worry about feeding and clothing himself. This gave him the chance to come into contact with art and beauty. Thus, he became a gentleman. He was polite, read poetry, visited exhibitions, appreciated painting, and watched opera. This is his favorite. He was deeply moved by the art form and attended theater regularly. Later, he married my mother, a lesser-known opera singer. She wasn't famous and gradually played supporting roles. A year after that, I was born.
No.
Family?
It's not.
No. I wouldn't call us a family. Or, more specifically, I wouldn't count my father as a family member. He rarely spent time with us, nor did he have any kind of real job. He was far too busy writing poems and melodies. Despite that, he never managed to complete a piece, just as he never managed to return home. Oh, he left with the milk. It was my father who took care of me and my mother. My grandfather who took care of me and my mother. I suffered no hardship. I lived a similar childhood to my father.
Certainly.
Our season education was exposed to art and was loved by my mother and grandfather, just as he was.
Yes.
I lived a life of calm stability and happiness, and as a result, I came to understand him less and less. Why would he choose to leave such a warm and loving family to live in a riverside cabin all by himself? What did grandfather mean by meaningless obsession when they were quarreling? She gave a slight frown as she looks up at the ceiling. The distance between us fed the confusion and disdain in my heart.
At the age of 15, I realized that his face had become faint to me. It was blurry, like a wrinkled, handwritten letter with tear smudged ink. Her gray eyes looked cold and hard, like pebbles at the bottom of a river. I was terrified. I knew we weren't close, but I didn't want to be a bad daughter who couldn't even remember her father's face, so I tried and tried. I tried my best to recall him. After a quick blink, she narrows her eyes. But as it turned out, my efforts were unnecessary. 3 days after I started trying in earnest, my father ran out of his cabin, screaming and crying, and jumped into the river. It was mid-winter. He was fished out dead. Mother fainted when she heard the news. Grandfather fell ill and was bedridden, so I took a carriage to the river by myself. That was the first time I saw my father completely clear. I realized there was no need for me to worry about being a bad daughter. After confirming the identity of the body, I went to his cabin with the patrol. They helped me stack his things in the carriage and handed me a notebook. This proves that your father committed, they said. I read it, of course. She clenches the notebook in her hand. Her previously wandering gaze fixes on you. Okay. Question, but this is what I'm thinking right now. I'm gonna let you guys know my slight thought process. So, Isolde is friends with Kanya, but in the last thing, there was a dead girl, no? A dead girl? And that dead girl, was she killed by Teofold? And she was killed by Teofold and or Isolde. Was Isolde just killing people at this point? So this was, I don't know how this is applicable to the story of Isolde. But, you know, it exists. Maybe I'll have to finish it first. I think I read this. Wandering gaze fixed on you. Then I finally knew where he went when he wasn't home. He went to the Vienna State Opera, to Wallendenter Park, to Dergebede. But he wasn't there for shopping or sightseeing. He was there for her. For Evangeline. Okay, here we go. This person's father was being obsessed with forgetting Isolde's mom. She was the only thing on his mind. He praised her. He missed her. He began stalking her.
Down.
He followed her from the moment she left her house until the moment she returned home. He even bribed her doctor to give him first-hand information on her health. The burning passion in these scrawls surpassed all the poems and melodies he'd ever written, you know. Simply reading those words scalded me. They were hot, stifling, so much so that they almost killed me. I was trembling in fear, but I didn't know what I was scared of, so I kept reading and freezing in the freezing wind by the river, one page after another, until I read every word. She talks faster and faster. A frantic enthusiasm takes over her body. She almost swallows her tongue in the eagerness to recount the tale. The last page. Wait, the last page was moist. Can you imagine? It was smudged by tears, just as my father's face was in my memory. Who is this person with curly black hair, pale face, and a body as delicate as a champagne flute? Right? What kind of person is a woman with a perfect and indisputable charisma?
Oh, yes.
I was desperate to find out. Before I could realize that what I was doing, I started running. I ran and ran until I arrived at the doors of the opera house. I had run so fast that there was sweat on my brow, even on the cold winter day. I asked about Evangeline's performance, only to find that she had retired in order to recuperate from her illness. The playwright calms herself. Her breathing softens as she hadn't said a word.
Oh,
Several
poor
years
little
later,
thing.
in mid-June, I heard that Evangeline drowned in the beautiful pond in her garden. He gives you a gentle smile.
Oh, yes.
See? It was time she followed in my father's footsteps. I never met her. I had never had a chance to meet her, let alone hear her sing that had driven let alone hear the singing that had driven my father mad. Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't say this out of regret. She grips her hand even tighter. It is impossible to pull away. Because Isolde, her daughter, had her debut half a month after her mother's death. I was there, just as my father had been at every one of Evangeline's performances. I witnessed her radiation of the dance, her rendition, of the Dance of Seven Veils, and how she enraptured the whole of Vienna. In my father's notes, I had a glimpse the first sign of her existence in the swollen ovaries of a rabbit. I know when she took her first step, how painful her night seizures were, even the amount of calming syrup she took.
Oh, yes.
I'm my father's daughter, and she's Evangeline's. How beautiful fate is, how it binds us together. So this was pretty much just telling the story of like how Isolde's debut and how her mom died. I mean, she really lost it, but I'm just like, it's the father. I think their father is just trash. Their father, her husband, whatever, he's just garbage. He clearly does not care for his freaking wife. At least not nearly enough, you would think. You mean, this is your original script? The leader of the opera troupe looks up from the thick manuscript on the table, a stiff expression on his face. Yes, sir. This is the original. Created by me. Miss Schmidler, I very much appreciate your hard work and presence. Your grandfather contacted me and told me how passionate you are about playwriting. There is no doubt that you put in great effort. I can see that you are wholly devoted to your craft, which is certainly a necessary quality for a playwright. And you're the granddaughter of my good friend. I even attended your debutante ball. So, a much as much as it pains me. Okay, that's not me. It's supposed to be as much. So as much as it pains me to disappoint you. He closes his eyes. When he opens them again, there is an apologetic look on his face. Uh-oh. We cannot accept your script, my child. No. Why? It's much too risky. The story that is. I understand that many stories are inspired by true events, but yours is simply far too obvious. Rosaline, the pretty and gentle heroine from a noble family, becomes popular after playing Shalom. Her mother murders her father. Her brother burns himself to death. Yet, she herself is sociable and surrounded by many friends. Together, they create an organization called The Square, based in Cafe Central. Every day, they talk about poems, share their thoughts and ideas. Oh my gosh. She's literally like, I would have been like, this isn't original enough, girly. This is not original enough. His voice gets lower and lower. Beads of sweat start forming on his forehead. Just tell her, girl, if you don't find a story that everyone doesn't already know. Later, after Rosaline's father dies, her tutor shows his desire for her. So this is it. This is what you were talking about, guys. So after the death of her dad is when Mr. Carl tries to make a move. He claims to be her godfather. He longs for Rosaline so strongly that he threatens her with his power. Even worse, he plans to murder her best friend, Maggie. So was he planning to murder Kakanya?
When I catch you, Mr. Carl. When I freaking catch you, Mr. Carl. That's why Iso got her licking at the show. What the frick? So he's trying to pressure her. Exactly, sir. That evil man manipulated Rosaline into dancing for him in a veil. That is so weird. Picturing it. Oh my gosh, Mr. Carl. Freaking Mr.
Oh,
How delicate, how kind, how pitiful she is. So you know all this stuff. She never hurt a soul. She's always kind-hearted, and her gentle nature evokes empathy from everyone. She is sure to stir compassion within the audience's heart. That just makes me so uncomfortable. The fact that he grew up with Isolde, and he waited right until the father dies before he starts being a creep. Threatening to do something to Kakanya. And in the most crucial scene, her hero arrives, pulling her out of the darkness. He enters, a beacon of shining light, bringing salvation and happiness to Rosaline, and slaying Cameron, the devil. The playwright shoots to her feet, knocking over the chair she was sitting on.
Perfect.
Isn't it a wonderful play, sir? No. It's just weird how people just enjoy terrible stuff like this. Because this is based on real life. Would that not make you uncomfortable? Like, if I was hearing this, I'd have been like, ooh, that is a choice you have made to write. Like, what the frick is wrong with you? Like, why don't you take stuff from your own life and make a play about that instead of writing about someone else's terrible life and then calling it wonderful? And isn't this the best thing you've ever heard type stuff? Why are you turning it down? Is it because of the buyout fees? No! It's because you're so unoriginal. It's insane. I won't charge you much as long as Isolde stars in it. Everything is negotiable. Oh, screw you! You're gonna make Isolde relive her trauma in the play that you wrote about her? Trash. You're trash. No, I mean to say... The leader mops his sweaty brow. The characters are too familiar to us. Any audience member with a monoculum of knowledge would know they're based on Miss Isolde, her brother Tifold, their parents, and Mr. Carl. So people know about Mr. Carl being a creep. And, like, people were still all buddy-buddy, like, Mr. Carl. So they knew about this. Which is the weirdest part. I'm like, if she knows about it, everyone else probably also knows Mr. Carl was being a freaking creep. Although Miss and Mr. Jidishtoff are no longer living, and Tifold, wherever he might be, isn't the sort to criticize a piece of art, Mr. Carl will not be happy about it. Because he's freaking... I hate him so much. Bro, like the anger, I just hate. Hate is a strong word, and it suits Mr. freaking waste of space, waste of air, waste of food, waste of water. Right. Mr. Carl's is... Ugh! How about you just don't do the weird stuff? Because everyone, like... Iso definitely has stalkers, so... The fact that you just... Whatever. Mr. Carl is dead anyway. He never allows us to put it on. It's absolutely slanderous. Is it slander or is it true event, sir? Because this stuff happened.
Down.
No, it's not. I saw it. He was reaching for Isolde's waist. That filthy toad. What are you so afraid? That makes me. I'm sorry. It's just. You grew up with, like, you helped raise her. You sicko. She's right. He is a filthy toad. And you know what? Do the play. But don't let Isolde star in it, please. Why would you want her to relive her trauma in a play? Are you crazy? So you saw it. And Mr. Carls was still working at the foundation. Why? Like, it's sometimes I just look at the foundation, I'm like, what is going on in y'all's head? This guy is weird. He's terrible. He waited till the father died. That's the part that I can't get past. That is sick. That's disgusting. Yeah. What are you so afraid of? So this is what you guys are talking about. For how he had feelings for Isolde. What a weirdo. Didn't end well. I returned home with my script in hand because she was stalking Isolde. Which is still bad, to be honest. But... Okay, let's keep going.
Down.
That donkey has no appreciation for art. He even accused me of being an untalented writer. How dare he say that I'm merely repeating the facts, and that is just an starry copy of Shalom.
Oh,
Shalom.
poor little
I'm a playwright.
thing.
You address me as such, do you not? How could I possibly hand over a manuscript as terrible as he said? Oh, he even said that Mr. Carls is a kind gentleman. Ha! Preposterous! I was always by Miss Isolde's side. No one knew but her better than I. I knew her friends, her family, and all about that. What's supposed to be there? Dangable old man. I don't know what that is. And he was just as I described in the manuscript. She too was as I described. Young, beautiful, and fragile as a daffodil.
Oh, she's the best.
Even aging couldn't befall her. The family curse has ensured that nobody in her family has lived past the age of 40. We're all familiar with the events that followed. Teofeld set himself on fire, and Isolde became fragile and pain-filled. She eventually received shock therapy in full view of the public. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna insert my thoughts now, because when I saw the shock therapy, I more or less thought that was her with her suppressed memories. So people were saying, how did you not know she was traumatized? I saw this Isolde, the Isolde we see here, like, well, not the Isolde we see here, but the Isolde in the shock therapy and the Isolde that killed her brother as two different Isoldes. Because one was with sealed memories that she couldn't remember what exactly happened to her brother and all that stuff. And then the other one was with like her full memories, her full recollection, everything. So I saw one as like not fully Isolde because obviously she couldn't remember the events of what traumatizing her. And then the other one was like the real Isolde. You guys see what I mean? So when she admitted that she killed her brother, I completely not disregarded as to my like the therapy, but I was like, was she getting the therapy to really know what happened to her brother? Because it seemed like when she remembered, she said she was cured. So at that time, I was like, which one? Like, you know? So I kind of took Isolde with all her memories as the real Isolde. And that's the Isolde who is doing all these terrible things. And that's the Isolde I knew. So yes, I knew she was traumatized. But I kind of thought she wasn't as... Yes, it would traumatize anyone, I know. But it was like... But even still, like, with the stuff she was doing, at some point you kind of have to turn your empathy cap a little down. Which is what I got from Bose. Pretty much, yes, she went through some terrible stuff. But, like, to choose murder and to choose to just, like, end everything with everyone, Which honestly, the people in Vienna in this freaking game are kind of trash, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But I can really feel for what happened to Tanya. So, you know what? That's what I'm gonna take. When I say murder, I'm not talking about Mr. freaking Carl. And I'm definitely not talking about Henrik. I'm talking about all the stuff that happened to Clara. And I guess, like, there's probably innocent people in Vienna. Even though we've only seen the trash ones. But, yeah. To just choose that. Like, at the same time, it's like when you're watching true crime. You guys know what I mean? When you're watching true crime, obviously most people who end up in these true crime cases who are criminals went through, like, a lot of trauma. And went through a lot of, like, hard, terrible stuff. You know what I mean? But they still chose to just, like, murder people. You know, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Because if this was real life, let's all be honest that we'd have to turn our empathy caps down a little bit. A little. Like, we understand she was trauma, but she still, like, a lot of you guys said she knew what she was doing. Like, she knew what she was doing. I just really also feel like the adults in her life all failed her. Every single adult in her life has failed her. So there's that as well. I feel for her. But I also, at the same time, I don't know how many people Isolde has killed. And just her being okay with, like, all these assassinations and all that stuff. Like, that's when I'm kind of like, okay. Like, I feel for you, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, I can't just condone the things she's doing because she's had a hard childhood. And I'm not saying this in a mean way. Like, this is how you're supposed to watch true crime and all that stuff as well. Because, like, the stuff she's doing is not okay. She has her reasons, but I don't know. Like, what kind of a person would I be if I'd be okay with, like, this mass murder that she was planning with Manus? You know what I mean? But, like, I could have just, like, not yelled at her. But still, it was very frustrating. Because at the end of the day, like, she wasn't listening to Kakanya. And Kakanya was feeling very conflicted. But she also did grow up around the, like, worst people possible. So, you know, it's like, yeah, I can feel that. I can feel for that, for sure. Because that's freaking Mr. Carl is terrible. I'm surprised he even lived that long, to be honest. She should have put him #1 on her hit list. Like, dang. Mr. Carl was trash. But yeah, the adults in her life just all failed her. Her freaking dad, her mom. Her mom even failed herself, and her daughter. And her brother, kind of, as well. We're not even going to talk about him. Henrik, who didn't do anything for her. Dang. Well, then again, who knows? Henrik might not even know. But I refuse to give him any benefit of the doubt. We're all familiar with it. Oh, yes, I read this. She was trembling. The pain looked excruciating. I'd never seen her like that. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and yell at that person to stop the torture. I wanted to, but I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. She released your hand. Dang.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I was gonna sneeze, but I think I'm okay. But then, I did it. I stood up. I scolded him. I ordered him to stop using that barbaric treatment. Huh? What? You? This Kakanya. You were not there. She clapped her hands together. So after, I raised a duel against him and won. I killed that guy. Huh?
Perfect.
You see, that was when I realized it was I who was her hero. My script was always correct. We became close friends after that. Huh? Huh? What? What? Okay, now I'm confused. The playwright became close friends with Isolde, and she killed the doctor. Slay. There's no more Maggie. We lived happily ever after.
Oh, yes.
Ah, I'm sure this might sound a little different from the story you know, but you have to understand. It's very different from the story I know. So different, in fact, that I think you're just being Delulu.
Nope, it's not.
You and I are different. There are clairvoyants in my family. My father had prophetic dream, and so did I. Some may say it is a hereditary mental disorder, but that is not true. In my father's notebook, on the drenched page, he wrote, "This world is a false one." Because your world is a false one. Is Delulu hereditary? Because he had seen the true one, the one where Evangeline is still on stage performing, he set off to find that world. The playwright looks down and holds out the notebook to you. It's gray and soaked. Water drips from its surface. I went to the river again, but it was buried. There, where the river once was, a railroad was built, bringing countless travelers to the city. You think that's the railroad Madame Hoffman and Marcus came on? I lay on the tracks, and then I heard a rumbling sound. I lay on them. Her hand does not waver. She is still trying to pass you the notebook. She is my my muse. I'm starting to see a lot of Delulu people in Vienna. The smell of the river water fills the air. You see the playwright's mouth moving, but no sound can be heard. Hands shaking, she drops the notebook and grasps her neck. Another voice replaces hers, squeezing out through her throat. Huh? You recognize the voice. What a sickly little story. How on earth did you make it to the end? Honestly, I deserved a peppermint for cutting her off for you. Girl, don't you think you owe me a thank you? Well, she got to the end of the story. You didn't cut her off. She finished. She hops over to the table and sits on it. But those artists, no, those so-called artists are always over-exaggerating to make their stories more dramatic.
Is that so?
A muse should be kind, good-looking, and fragile. And my little sister, of course, is more beautiful than a rose and more valuable than a diamond. She claims that no one saw the real Isolde, but did she? Did she see the real her? Trista stretches out her hand and points into the darkness.
What do you think?
What can you see when you peer through the cracks around the edges of the door? The faster you run, the more curious people become, and the harder they pursue you. Don't you think that this is all too mushy? Heroes and beauties, salvation and light? Is this really the story? Trista's hand pulls you near. Look, I don't want you to miss the truly dramatic scene. You look back. The gray door is still cloaked in darkness. In front of it, gray eye, wet and hard like a pebble at the bottom of a river, is gazing at you. Ooh. Okay, that one was really dark. Why is she stalking Isolde? Mr. Carl, we find Mr. Carl is a creep. It's really trash with you, Mr. Carl. Mother, I'm home. Mother. That's strange. Has she not come home yet? She should have arrived an hour before me. Do we really have to? Oh my gosh. Guys, like, I'm just like, oh, they told the story, so I'm not actually gonna see her mom die, right? I see what you guys meant by, like, this is gonna be traumatizing. The huge mansion is empty. Mr. Dardishtoff has set most of the servants to the farm in the countryside to harvest currants and raspberries. The fruits need to be harvested in time for the ball in July. Maggie! Is Maggie not home either? Oh, look at me. I have been far too busy with rehearsals these days. I'm almost as forgetful as my mother. Maggie took leave to visit her ill mother back at her hometown. Of course she isn't home. She murmurs, lifts her skirt, and makes her way to the sideboard. Tufeld must have taken that pretty girl, Mia, out with him. She's his new model, so he spends a little time at home these days. Is he killing the models? Can someone tell me? Because I don't freaking know anymore. That leaves the dark-haired Annalie and the lively Angus. Yes, that's right. They're the only ones here. She opens the drawer, takes out some food, and looks out the window into the garden. Maggie's away. The bunnies must be hungry. Uh-oh. Come out. Yes. Here comes your food. The little bunny licks her fingertips. Her fur is soft and fine. It is yet to be replaced by the coarse hair of adulthood. You've accompanied me and my mother for so long, and you've stabilized her condition. Yet still, you go hungry. Poor little thing.
It's alright.
Don't worry. I'll be here for you. Although I will be busy with performances, so it may be tricky to find the time, the last rehearsal went splendidly. You know, the singing, the dancing, the stage settings, everything was perfect. Henrik, a friend of mine, has devised many clever tricks for the stage design. However, everyone's been telling me that my debut will be fantastic, everyone. Uh-oh, if her mother's still alive, I can't imagine it is for long. I hate this, and I get the cold feeling that she's in the garden right now. Mother will be glad to hear it. Oh. But she is not in the living room or the garden. Where could she be? What's that voice? She sets down the bunnies, letting them hop freely in the garden. She's still alive, though.
Oh, my darling baby.
Yeah.
That's Mother's singing voice. She re-enters the house and follows the voice through the lounge, down the corridor, up the stairs, and to her parents' bedroom. The door, which has always been shut, is now open. She feels the wind blowing through it. Sleep, my darling, safe and sound.
Oh, my darling baby.
Uh-oh. It has become forever since Evangeline last sang. Vienna has all but forgotten her voice. She sings a strange and unfamiliar lullaby, one that has been dug up from the depths of her throat. Her voice is smooth and clear, like a flowing spring or the glimmering brass needle in her hand that has been driven into Miss Didishtoff's temple. Mr. Didishtoff's temple. Wait, so she killed him? It was designed to look like a dagger, and now it is serving as a real one. Oh my gosh, she killed her husband. I forgot she did that. Even though they kind of did just tell me, huh? But I forgot. Isolde's mother pulls the needle from her father's skull. Blood sprays Evangeline's face and soaks the bedsheet. It drips down and pools on the floor. I'm so confused why he was sleeping with her if he knows he has hysteria. Like, it would be better if she's like sleeping in the bed by herself. Well, they thought she was cured, right? They thought she was okay. Well, clearly not. She freaking just killed her husband.
She is still a superb singer, even in this moment. Mother! Like a child awakening from a dream, Evangeline trembles and turns her head to see her daughter standing in the doorway. My Trista! Is that you? Oh, my dear Trista, Mama miss you so much. Her rosy cheeks glimmer with happiness. She looks like a young girl again. In this room, Isolde's mother is like her daughter, as she is more like a mother. Come and see. Your father and I, and Annalie and Angus are all ready. She killed them too. Ready to join you. Oh, my dear Trista, how stupid I was. Just like my mother always said, I thought about it over and over again, but I didn't understand. I didn't understand it until now. You were right. You were right from the beginning. You! Evangeline regains the visage of her mother. Even her red dress looks heavier on her. She gently moves her husband's head from her lap to the bed to adjust his body to a comfortable lying position. She gets off the bed, steps over Angus and Angelie's body, and wraps her arms tightly around Isolde.
Well done.
You've always been my smartest, most talented child, my cheerful, clever, unique little angel.
Keep in mind.
The world has always been nothing but a jester revolving around you, and you, the giggling queen. Ah! Frick me, bro. Oh, this is worse than I thought. Blood on Evangeline's hands has dried into powder. It drifts into the air as she moves. Like, I do feel bad for being mean to Isolde, though. Like, that, I did go a little overboard. I thought she was just pure evil. It was just a mix of a little evil and, like, well, the evil being hysteria and trauma. And it was the mix of those two things. Oh. The powder surrounds Isolde and clings to her skin. Immediately causes a rash where it lands, making her itch and burn. Oh. She raises her head. Wind rattles through the window and into a room. She sees the wavering treetops outside and smells the smell of the sweet June flowers. So this is what father was afraid of. Well, he didn't do nothing for her. Let me just say. He did not do nothing for her. Afraid of? He didn't do anything for her. And he was just subjecting Isolde to that same treatment that would make her end up like that. He was trash. Yes. And he should have been afraid. The smell of blood is so strong here that were it to escape through the window, it would make any possible passerby crinkle their nose. And then people would find out what had happened. I mean... yeah, because you got 3 bodies here. This scandal will draw everyone's attention. Yes, even knowing that he may one day be a victim of my mother's hysteria, he considered the reputation of the family above his own life. Oh, brother. Clearly, because he just kept subjecting his wife to all these... and he clearly didn't care about her. Heard Mr. Carl talking trash about her. He didn't say a single thing to defend her, because he agreed with it all. Same for Isolde. He does not care. Isolde murmurs to herself, ignoring the rash on her skin and her mother's embrace. She feels blood in her nose and that squeezing pain in her lower abdomen, just like that night when she was 6. She's living a real-life horror movie, but for like 18 years. Or how old is Isolde now? 19? For like 19 years.
Close the window.
Close the window.
Close the window. Close the window.
I hate that voice. Oh my gosh. I hate that voice. It's so creepy. Brava, brava. Trista claps her chin with pride. Claps her chin high with pride. I'm rather good at storytelling, aren't I? Did you notice the connection between the two? They even ended in the same way.
Hmm?
Follow-up? Oh dear. Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't that playwright tell you what happened next? Not long after, before my father's burial, my mother drowned herself in a shallow pond in our garden.
How
Yes,
pitiful.
you're right. She went insane and considered death the only means to break free. She'd had enough of this world. It brought her only anguish. To prevent her from hurting herself, Tiffeld requested the household maid guard her door every night. Trista hops off the table and steps forward. You know, even in utter hysteria, she was Vienna's greatest performer. On the night of her death, she awoke at midnight, confused. She couldn't remember a thing. She asked her maid for a cup of hot milk and honey and wondered why her throat hurt so much, why there were wounds on her hands. The maid, Maggie, obliged and rushed to the kitchen to retrieve it for her. In that short time, Evangeline ran across the hallway, down the stairs, through the lounge, and into the garden. She didn't stop to look at the, Selmatis, nor did she notice the scent of jasmine in the air. She simply leapt into the pond, crawled over to the pearl shed decorated fountain, and curled up like an infant in the water. And drowning is the worst way to go out, too, because that's, I believe, one of the most painful ways. So it's like, dang, she really wanted out. She reaches out and touches the slight ajar metal door before her. This door doesn't belong to Mr. Carl. You can tell because it's bloodstained and there's a shining dagger hanging on it. All the women in our family have met the same end, and Evangeline was no exception. The golden rabbits have shown me far too many stories of how my ancestors' lives tragically ended. I have no interest in retelling them. She pushes the door shut. The next morning, when Evangeline's body was discovered in the pond, my little sister fell to the ground, twitching and howling like a drowned cat. And her mom was like the only one who like somewhat comforted her too. So I know that was like bad. Like I would believe like her mom was probably her closest family member because her brother wasn't around when she was growing up, and her father freaking sucked and never comforted her ever. But her mom, she like somewhat comforted her enough to where like I feel like this probably hurt more than the other ones. The other deaths. Like her mom was probably like the big one. Because I don't think she cried like this for her dad. Because I don't... to be honest, I wouldn't blame her if she didn't like him. But... like her mom was like... I feel like the one that she liked most. On that day, the hysteria had once haunted her mother. Well, the hysteria that once haunted my mother and truly manifested itself in my sister. Trista smiles and strokes the face that she shares with her sister. Do you remember what I said? That my little sister isn't a real actress? No. Well, that's not true. Or rather, not entirely true. She is, in a way, the most superb actress and liar I've ever seen. It's just a pity that she did it so well, no one could recognize her talent. Trista steps back, melting into the shadow just as she had appeared from it.
Did you see that door?
There's another door. You should take a look. Go find it. It's right by you. Go on. Look for it. I assure you, it's there. Oh gosh. I think, yeah, no, the adults in her life really just, ugh. And her mom was probably the only one she loved the most. She never met her sister. But her mom. I'm sure that one, like, hurt. I mean, that's the only one I've heard that she's cried at like that. It was, she didn't cry like that for her dad. I don't think she cried like that for Tiffeld. It was her mom. Because her mom was the only one that comforted her. After a brief search, you find the door. a door of distress. There are white candles burning beside it. You hear the whimpering sobs of someone's families and friends. The door of warmth. There are birds perched on it. They are climbing cheerfully. You push the door, it opens. The Dittendorf house seemed quieter than usual. Those who passed by do so hurriedly, lest some of its misfortune rub off on them.
Isolde.
Isolde, I'm so sorry. If you ever need someone or anything, I'm right here for you. Call me anytime. The company and support of friends are most important, especially during this time. And if you feel uncomfortable at home, you're more than welcome to stay in my clinic. Aww. He turns back to Isolde, who is standing by the gate. She is as elegant and upright as always, her body slender, her face pale, her eyes black.
Thank you for your concern.
Thank you, Miss Kakanya.
It's alright.
I'll be fine. You needn't worry about me. After a brief silence, she cast her eyes down.
Yeah.
The Dittendorf family needs me as a hostess more than ever. My reputation is worthless at the moment. Given the circumstances of his death, Tifold's body isn't suitable to display at a wake. So Mr. Carl suggested we bury him sooner, so he may rest in peace rather than painfully linger in this world. The maids are packing his things. A third of his paintings will be buried with him. As for financial disputes between himself and his models, they remain to be solved. And She hesitates, looking to the decorated iron gate of the Dittendorf house. Its recent neglect has allowed dirt to grow in its crevices. I'm the last living Dittendorf, Miss Kanya. It falls to me to shoulder our burden. I can't live like this. I can't let my wandering womb control me anymore. The fainting, the convulsions, those visceral disturbances, I will not allow myself to become some horrifying lunatic. So at this moment, she was like determined not to be like them.
Isolde.
Isolde. I decided to accept Dr. treatment. I'm not even gonna try. I don't freaking even care to say his name. Isolde raises her head and gives Kakanya a smile. Times are different now. New treatments are emerging day by day. I'm sure he'll find a way to help me. First step, I think, would be to get out of that house, to be honest. Like, she needs to start living somewhere else. At least temporarily. Maybe with Kakanya. Kakanya remains silent. Finally, she lets out a sigh. I really don't think he is the best doctor for you. You're a Dittendorf, for goodness sake. Not a commoner. He's only trying to use your status to gain profit and attention. That's why he insisted the treatment process be open to the public. But as your friend, I respect your decision, and I completely understand why you choose to accept the treatment. So since we're doing this right now, we're talking about the treatment. Forward, right? Also, what added to my confusion about Isolde was the fact that Kakanya didn't feel like she knew Isolde, and Kakanya knew Isolde way longer than me. So I'm like, if Kakanya is being this cold to her and stuff, then like, who am I? You know what I mean? But it's like, Kakanya really knew her, and Kakanya felt like, dang, did I even really know you? And I was like, I don't know. Like, just think about it in that way. Like, Kakanya even was like conflicted whether or not she really knew Isolde like that after Isolde's actions in 1.7. And again, I was definitely too mean to her. I was too mean. But like, even at that point, if Kakanya was like, kind of like, I don't know about this anymore, Isolde, her best friend, then dang,
I mean, what Isolde did given was really messed up. Like, that was really messed up. But I'm like, dang, Isolde. But I kind of feel bad. I don't want Isolde to lose her best friend. But I just feel like Isolde needs to listen a bit more. Put on her listening cap. But yeah, I feel like she just needs to move out of this house. Like, I feel like your family's not there anymore. You've experienced so much trauma in that house. Like, I get it. Like, that's like her family house. But like, she doesn't have to live there. You know what I mean? They could like hold events there. But like, if I were her, I'd be sneaking away to go live somewhere else. Just at least temporarily, because, well, not even temporarily. I'm like, the treatment won't work if she's living in the same house where she's seen all her family members die, where she's been abused and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, just know that you have the right to stop him at any time. Please, Isolde, as soon as you feel any discomfort, any pain, promise me you'll tell him to stop. Can I do that? Every living person has the right to express their discomfort, which is what they grew her up telling her not to freaking do.
No, I think...
But it's possible that under the circumstances, you'll be unable to stop him. Naganya rubs her chin, immersed in thought. Then her eyes lit up.
Don't worry.
Of course. The presentation is open to all, so I can be there too. I'll sit in the audience and keep a close eye on you. If things get out of control, I'll stop him. Kakanya's face looks considerably brighter with this idea. Her voice is clear and colorful as a parrot's. Isolde lightens, listens quickly, chuckling from time to time at Kakanya's chattering. Oh.
Certainly.
It's like, dang! After they were, I didn't realize how best friends they were. So it even sucks even more that Kakanya was like so cold to her near the end, because I'm like, dang. And Kakanya was like, did I even really know you, Isolde? That's even like kind of sad. Dang. It's actually really sad. They were besties, bro. Thank you, Miss Kakanya. You're a great friend. Isolde looks at her. Her eyes twinkle. A pink blush rises on her pale cheeks. She steps closer to Kakanya and fixes her collar, as she's done countless times before. By the way, when you were in the house just now, did you notice a door? A door? Puzzled, her eyes dart from Isolde to gaze at the back. What kind of door? Just an ordinary door. There's nothing special about it. She blinks in confusion.
You mean...
I don't get it, Isolde. There are many doors to your home. Which are you referring to? Nothing. Forget it. It's not important. Having dealt with the collar, Isolde pulls back her hands and steps back behind the gate. It's getting late. You should head home. You should also head home. With Kakanya, I would not let her live in that house anymore. I'd have been like, I get your status, your family home. You can still own the home. Just don't stay there. I think any normal person would understand the horrors that happened in that freaking house. Oh my, is it that time? You're right, I should go. I have a patient, a visitor who requires help with my witchcraft. Thanks for reminding me. Then I shall take my leave. Lowering her hat, Kakanya leaves with her suitcase in hand. She quickly blends into the crowd. Her maid steps forward and starts to close the huge metal gate. Miss Kakanya, wait! Isolde's voice rings out above the squealing of the gate. She notices the green feathers in Kakanya's hat flicker in the crowd. Yes, you called me? Wait.
Yeah.
If Dr. whatever the frick therapy doesn't work, could you please treat me?
Of course.
Of course.
Agreed.
You're always welcome.
Kakanya should have treated her first. I feel like things could have been way different. Now the feathers jiggle cheerfully. Kakanya swims against the current, returning to the gate.
Isolde.
You're my greatest friend in all of Vienna. I'd be more than happy to help. Which is like, oh, it's so sad. But again, like, I'm so conflicted. I'm even more conflicted now. Because I'm like, to be freaking honest, the stuff she did was kind of horrendous. Like, she was happy about it. But it's hysteria. She's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't mean crazy as in like a derogatory term this time. I mean it as in like she actually was just crazy. You know? So, things could have been different if she just didn't, like, if at least one adult in her life was like Kakanya. Which is really sad. I have a small room. It has a simple door. The room is cramped. It's a truly tiny little room. But besides that simple door, there are many, many doors in this room. Big ones, small ones, hard ones, soft ones, mushy and wet ones, warm and furry ones. They're in front of me. They're behind me. There are so many of them, and more keep coming. They squeeze me. So I guess the doors are kind of like supposed to show that she needs to keep fitting in these doors to sort of match the societal expectations of her. Like, she needs to keep fitting in these doors. Like, so that... It just sucks, bro. Like, even still, it's kind of still the same thing Reverse 1999 has been talking about this whole time. But she needs to, like, all these different kinds of doors, to be perfect, she needs to fit inside every single one of them perfectly. And, like, at that point, it could get 1, overwhelming, 2, suffocating, 3, it would drive anyone crazy. Do you know how that feels to be squeezed by many, many doors? Isolde turns her eyes to you. I suppose no one in the world has felt what it's like. No one would ever place so many doors in one room. Door after door lies on me, compressing me until my skin, my flesh, my bones squeeze under the pressure. I am enveloped by endless pain, as if my flesh is being torn from my skeleton. So she probably kills people now. Well, one, to feel like they're safe. Of course, whenever I'm talking about this, I'm excluding like the people who are filth. But like, she probably feels like she's helping them. Because honestly, with her whole world being so dark, she probably thinks that everyone is kind of like also like in some way miserable. I don't know. I don't know. Where did I read? I'm enveloped in endless pain, as if my flesh is being torn from my skeleton. When I was a little girl, I read stories about princesses who tried to sleep on 100 layers of mattresses, yet was still kept awake by a single pea beneath them. My father called her the true embodiment of a princess, a good maiden with noble virtues and the most delicate skin in the world. He said that I should be such a lady, both sensitive and polite. But am I that princess? Or that bothersome pea under 100 mattresses? This is the last part too. It's like, dang. Like, dang. A door? Baby, my child, my darling. Mother hugged me, as she always did when invoked with despair. Tearful had grown up, and Trista was long gone, so I was her only choice. The day prior, her hysteria had burst out a banquet, making her shame all the more potent. That's why she came to my room and held me close.
Listen, child.
You must always remember Mama's words. Don't you ever forget. You have to be careful. Don't allow others to see your vulnerability. Don't cry, don't scream, don't lose control. Don't make a fool of yourself. Your true self is filthy. Reveal it and it will hurt you, even kill you. Her hand squeezed my arms, quivering. I couldn't help but quiver with her. It will only make you suffer, keep you from your dreams, and plunge you into nightmares. It's a most frightful, terrible beast, and it will tear you apart, just as it tore me and your grandmother, and your greatest grandmother. You must conceal it, Isolde. Not one girl in our cursed family has been able to survive in this world without doing so. You must follow the rules of society. I didn't fully comprehend what she meant back then. Curse, rules, concealment? It was all too complicated for a 4-year-old child. Oh, okay. So I asked her what it meant, what I should do. There was a long silence before Mother spoke, so long that I almost fell asleep in her arms. In my semi-dreamlike state, I heard my mother's voice. It was soft and distant, as if floating down from a cloud.
That's right.
You must learn to play a role in life, my little Isolde. She brushes my hair with her fingers, her face twisted in agony. She had been dancing in this pair of hot iron shoes for over 20 years, and in this moment she presented them to me.
Of course.
You must learn to know what people expect from you, then do everything you can to meet those expectations. You'll have to work harder than anyone else to satisfy the people around you, so as to make their tolerance of you worthwhile. Smile despite your suffering and breakdowns, and walk steady even if your feet are crippled, even if the road ahead seems fine to others, but in ruins to you. Oh. She cupped my face in her hands, kissing my forehead and cheeks. Her tears fell on my face like rain. She was in so much pain, for me and for herself. It was terrifying to wear that pair of burning iron shoes like that. But it was the only way our ancestors survived. It was the only way we would survive. And it was the first time I saw a door. It was small and blue, just the right size for a child like me to pass through it, and squeezed me into a room like a cat squeezes through the cracks of a door. Eventually, I fell asleep in my mother's arms. It was not the door, the small room. It was not the door to the small room.
Mind your posture.
100 times, that's right. Scoop up the soup 100 times. It was then I saw the second door. You've done well, my child. See, your hands have stopped shaking. Mr. Carl stood by that door. His figure was formidable. I kept my distance. I didn't like Mr. Carl. Neither did I. I respected him, but I feared him. I resented him. He seemed so tall to me, grander than a place, more impressive than a mountain. He haunted my every nightmare. In those nightmares, he was an entrance to a wide, luxurious ballroom. It was filled with faceless people, all staring at me silently. Sometimes I was disheveled, barefoot, or naked, but I was always scrambling to cover myself up to hide my shame. It's the door to the Ditterstoff house, and I am the last remaining Ditterstoff. It is mine alone. Of course, it's in the room. Sorry. It isn't the door to the small room either. Literature, art, poetry, stage design, models, romance. I've never paid much attention to their conversation, but these words summarize the majority of their topic. Oh, what do you think, Henrik? Theopold is an enthusiastic and perhaps kind-hearted person. He understood himself to be a noble man and a brother. I cannot deny that he fulfilled his obligations, nor can I deny his foolishness. He spent his days indulging in his pleasures with blissful decadence. He brought me gifts like Mayor's hound brought her its prey. and his eyes glittered just like the hound's did. I would thank him and take his gifts, which greatly inspired him to go on the hunt once more. As I'm sure you can tell, he was easily pleased, while we had a simple relationship. Hey, why don't we start an organization together? I just thought of an excellent name. Is Henrik a friend of mine or my brother? How did we even come to be friends? Our parents were close. He and Tifil grew up together. We spent long holidays on each other's estates since we were children. How time had flown. That little chatterbox had become taller than I. His fever for conversation, although sometimes grating, was not without benefit, however. He introduced me to many new faces.
Agreed.
That's a superb name. I'd love to join. It was he who introduced me to her, my new friend. Hello. Girl, my muse. What can I say about her? My mother's therapist, the gardener, and Maggie the maid were all her and her father's moles, who picked up the trash bags of old handkerchiefs, worn pajamas, and dirty bedsheets that were left outside the gate, who ate the dead rabbit that signaled my father's birth. Oh, that signaled my birth. Sorry. What the frick? Does the answer really matter? They were quiet, sincere even. They made no demands, no requests? Yeah. Like a pebble lying at the bottom of the river or in the gaps of a road, they lived in their own world. They couldn't even stir up a wave, let alone become the straw that broke the camel's back. They impacted no one. But still, when Mr. Carl's ballroom pressed upon me, so too did she slip into my shoe. A small stone, a perpetual annoyance compounding my great pain. Wake up, Cheko. My muse. Just as father said, be generous, my daughter. It's an honor that they loved you so much. Be lenient, let them be. Sleep, my darling, safe and sound. This is how her story should end, don't you think? My darling baby, Trista, Isolde. I kept hearing things. My heart is broken, my joints are screaming. No, not my joints. My spleen. My spleen? Spleen. It feels as though it's ruptured, and there are a million voices shouting in my head. What should I do? What should I do? You need me. You need to help me. No, who can help me? She was in so much distress, so much pain. My mother, my Evangeline. She could no longer hold her baby. She could no longer live in the illusion of a forever young and bloom. She was I really can't say that. Let me try. Eperlistrudu. She was like an overfilled glass of wine that finally spilled over, staining the clothes of everyone at the table. This is salvation, my dear. Dear. The world is filthy. Just breathing is torturous. When she dreams about Trista, when she saw the sweet smile again, when she relived her death, Mother found the exit of her life. The door to freedom opened before her, and she was far too kind to leave behind her husband and maiden. So this is the door the mother used to escape. That's why it's partially open. Evangeline followed Trista. Tifil followed Evangeline. One in water, one in fire. They ended their lives. They chose the worst ways to go out too. Not only had the curse taken Evangeline, but also the two remaining men of the Didostoff family. The curse that had once only plagued my mother's family had truly taken over all the Chikuseren. People started looking at me with pitiful and prying eyes. Of course, they would gaze at a tragic but wealthy and well-bred girl like that. Especially those who had sons of marriageable age.
Isolde,
Oh, my poor
child.
Isolde. What is this happening to you? Why is this happening to you? First your father, then your mother, now Tifon. When are you gonna go? Mr. Carl wiped his tears with a white handkerchief, his face ruddy and full, like a peach. The sincerity of his response made him almost charming. Ugh. Ugh. Was he always this way? Where was that stern, harsh gentleman from my memory? Waiting till your father died. I thanked him, I consoled him, and I shook his hand. This was the Carl my father saw, wasn't it? I was an adult then. He was treating me as such.
Isolde.
Of course, because your dad's dead. Isolde, are you alright? Luckily, there were some more welcome visitors. A different kind of friend, a friend who stood by my side, a sincere, worried expression on her face.
Yes.
Call me anytime, no matter how late it is. Don't hesitate, alright? That's what I'm saying. Get yourself a friend like a Kanya, bro. I've been saying that since 1.7. Rick, Kanya is such a good friend. Which is why it hurts even more that Kakanya couldn't even look Isolde in the eye. I'm like, dang, that is actually so tragic. By the way, when you were in the house just now, did you notice a door? A door? What kind of door? Oh.
It's a door. One of the most common types. No one would notice it when placed in such a big and magnificent mansion.
Its appearance on the evening of my 13th birthday. It appeared on the evening of my 13th birthday. I vomited on my bed that night. I couldn't digest all that cake and roast chicken. My stomach hurt. Those wandering spirits bent over me, making funny faces and silently clapping as I heaved up my dinner. The guests downstairs were waiting for me. I had to get myself together to go back and thank everyone for celebrating my birthday with me. But I was too tired. I hadn't had a good night's sleep in months. And that was when I came up with the idea.
Yeah.
I invited the spirits to fall upon me, whether they were willing or not. I utilized the spirits' proficiencies to do what I couldn't do alone. They helped me flatter my guests, behave well, sing and dance, read and write literature. They aided me in everything. And I was able to rest. I was finally able to rest. Tifo's funeral is over. More than half of the servants have been let go. Miss Dirichtoff says she needs more time alone and refuses to receive any visitors. Isolde crosses the living room, walking straight to the sideboard. Maggie isn't home. There's no one to take care of Bloom and the Nightingale and Swan. She opens the drawer to take out a metal box of arsenic powder. It has been the most deadly poison since the time of ancient Rome until today. They're my responsibility now. Here, come, have some. She carries the box over to the tea table by the window and places the box on it. Be graceful, be self-restrained, be kind to others. She tilts the teapot and watches the tea flow into the cup. Be compassionate, especially towards the less privileged.
It's alright.
There's nothing to be afraid of. You have the right to leave this ruined world. See, this is what I mean. This is how she feels about everyone, huh? And I'm like, I kind of wish they added this, like at least some parts, into the main story. Because now I kind of see it. She feels as though this world freaking sucks. Because that's all she's ever known. The sucky parts of life. Because that's all they've ever shown her. So every time she kills, she feels like she's helping. She feels like she's helping people. This is how she feels about everyone else. We must be an example for our people. Oh dear, you're twitching. It's all right. I'll hold you. We must. Isolde dropped her eyes. The arsenic powder dissolves into the hot tea as if it had never existed. She raises a teacup and slightly lowers her head. We must be virtuous and dignified, as benefits our status, Isolde. In this teacup, her charred brother's gaze. In the teacup, her charred brother gazes at her sorrowfully. Ah, how careless I am. I almost forgot the date today. She raises her head and throws the teacup over her shoulder, splashing the brother's face on the floor. She picks up her coat from the hanger and walks towards the porch, muttering to herself.
Yeah.
The new doctor. My Kakanya. Dr. Kakanya. So she was gonna drink it until she remembered, oh wait, I'm gonna be seeing Kakanya today. Let me just not. Oh, it appears I've arrived a little early. I think like at this point she's definitely like kind of lost it. I don't think this is like depression at this point. It's like beyond that. Like everything's just muddied into one crazy little mixture. Like I don't even think like she realizes that she's like what she's actually doing. Like I think she thought she was actually gonna save herself from all this torture, and then she's like, wait a second, Tanya. Like I don't even think she feels things at this point, you know what I mean? Like she probably feels, you know, just like sadness and stuff, but I feel like it's giving like kind of she's numb. She's like numb. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, she's kind of like really just numb. Numbed it all. It appears I've arrived a little early. It's good etiquette for a lady to arrive early to an appointment.
It's all right.
That's all right. I can wait. I have patience. Miss Kakanya. Oh, I suppose I should call her Dr. Kakanya from now on. Oh. Oh. Wait, that's kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie. She looks up at the closed door. There's no sign indicated that this is the consultation room. What? Oh, right. She doesn't have a medical license. Ah. So she painted the door this color so that the patients can tell where she is. How very clever. As she waits, Isolde murmurs softly to herself. There are so many doors in this world. Is Dr. Kakanya a door too? What kind of a door would she be, I wonder? Would it be green or shining like silk, or perhaps she is interrupted by a familiar voice. Isolde.
Oops.
Sorry. I'm late. Kakanya trots over to her, her lively green skirt swaying with each step. As delayed. You know what I'm like? You know what I'm like? You know what I'm like. I swear I'd planned to return earlier to ensure this doesn't happen. Did I read that? You know what I'm like. I was delayed. You know what I'm like. I swear I planned to return earlier to ensure this didn't happen. This is our first consultation after all. Oh, I also wanted to have a good start to our doctor-patient relationship. I'm really very sorry. Have you been waiting long?
Yes.
Are you tired? Oh, I shouldn't have kept you waiting under the sun. As Kakanya continues her apologies, she pulls a golden key with a green ribbon from her waist. The golden key to the golden lock on the door. She inserts it and turns it. The door opens.
Don't worry.
Alright, come on in. I'll fetch you a cup of tea. Kakanya enters the side room. Isolde can see her cheerful green dress reflected in the corner of the mirror as she brews herself some tea.
I'm looking forward to it.
She brews tea. Tea brews. She's looking forward to it. There she is, reflected in the Vingler's mirror, the daughter of the mirror seller, Kukanya. Dr. Kukanya. She's not a doctor. She's not a door. I was wrong. Very wrong. She's a key. A key that will finally unlock my door. Am I done? That's it. Oh, we finished.